All right, I'm gonna make this a weather related only topic for this live. Tried to do a live yesterday and didn't get much. Had a great live. It was excellent. Put down a lot of time, but some of these things just to be done for the record. So all hail snow. That's what we had out here today. Was this morning. It's been blowing snow and hail um, all over the place. So I'm not. I want to talk about the weather again. I tried to have that subject yesterday, and it just it wandered off into some other subjects. So this one's going down. So again, I could say, again, it wasn't before I would put out content and not obviously didn't have that live access, and so things that would just be put down for the record, because I know that the Father in heaven is watching, and what he says is dominates my daily life. So here we go. Why do you have to? You just laid on both the cats, you silly. The puppy just laid on the cats. Both of them just went plop right up on both the kitties. I know you love kitties. So, okay, there we go. For the record, if you don't get underneath the ground, you're not going to make it very well. You're going to have a hard time with the wind and I believe the energy coming from the sun. So it's going to get more increasingly intense. Weather will dominate the earth. It's only a matter of time. And I am putting it down on the record because I know that I've studied this for decades, and never in my studies have I ever come across an event that we've seen in our lifetimes. So I believe that we'll see an increasing intensity in the weather. It will continue to become more predominant. It already takes and makes hundreds, thousands, and sometimes tens of thousands of people have to relocate, or it takes their life, and that happens daily. So I'm not sure people are not paying attention, and that's fine. It has to be done for the record. There's things I have to get off my chest, and if the right ear comes across and hears it, that's not on me. He wills all things. So again, have to put it down for the record that weather is more important than politics, and weather is more important than entertainment, and weather is more important and will dominate, I believe. Just like we had kind of the worldwide spamdemic there, so kind of affected everybody. It didn't matter if you believed or not, it had an effect on your life. And I believe the weather will be much more intense than the the fakery that they pulled. So I hope that those that he is having prepare their arks and their places, or whatever they're having that extra oil, that they're doing that now before things continue to intensify, and weather will completely dominate. I don't think you'll be able to get to the store. I don't think the store will be a thing. You'll already have had to have your stores. You'll already have had to have been a wise virgin, or wise as a chipmunk. You have a brain the size of a pea, and nobody needs to tell it to put up nuts for the winter. So how wise are these humans? Most of them have very little instinct and have lost their way with entertainment and the world. So not trying to change any goats into a sheep or vice versa, but what an interesting time where you can still get toilet paper and macaroni and cheese and whatever it is. It's readily available, and weather it's increasing, and it will intensify because the weakening of our magnetosphere, the weakening of our magnetic canopy, the protection from that sun that does affect not only weather but humans here on Earth. So it will dominate the Earth, and I just have to put it down for the record so the Most High knows that I was watching and that I blew the horn. I sounded the message, and let the whole wide world web now internet. I said it before we had all these lives and stuff on this platform, more than a decade ago, that weather will dominate this Earth, and we're here. I mean, 5 low latitude auroral events, that's never happened in recorded history. So in my eyes, we made it. They've already announced that we have entered the 6th extinction event. You don't have to wait to get ready. You don't have to wait for that moment. We're already here. We've entered a 12,000 year extinction cycle. So remember, it was the half cycle 6,000 years ago with the Noah event. So here we are, in a 12,000 year cycle. These things are cyclical, and they're nothing that man has anything to do with. This is the way the Most High Creator spun the heavens, irregardless of the shape of what plane we are on, or planet, right? Is that what we're on? They say we're on a spinning corkscrewing. Well, you can't spin or corkscrew me. But anyways, weather is affected by the sun. It affects cardiac arrhythmia, affects our heart rate. It has massive effects on the inner core of the Earth that excites the inner core, which increases magnetism, volcanism. There's a lot of things that are going on. A decrease in magnetism in our magnetosphere, the shield, the magnetic canopy from the sun. But they tell you don't look at the sun. So there are those who've been paying attention for decades and are very aware that what the sun is doing, and there's lots of ways to study it. You can look at it and and see that it is the driver of the climate. It dominates this plane, and it will dominate the Earth, and then he'll use the sun to do it. So I have said now, in the last year, probably 50, 60, maybe 80 times, that it might be like a microwave when you go outside. Like, can you go outside? You want to go outside when it's like a microwave? So weather will dominate this Earth, and he'll tell those to prepare and be wise, and to have that extra oil, and they'll do it because he's the commander. And just as he left this place, he went to prepare a place. Like a bride that tarries, he prepares. So he told his bride to be wise and to be girded, loins girded, and working toward and headed in his direction. So it's just part of the lifestyle. Some of us, it's not even something we can control. It's a vessel. And so preparedness is just a lifestyle. It's not something that you even try to do. You just do it because it's wise. Be foolish. Preparing to fail is by not getting ready, and that's not preparing. So that's a good way to fall right on your face and then have to be a burden to society instead of a blessing. But he will give the woman the wings of an angel, and she will flee to the wilderness. So I know the parable. I've studied his truth, and it says it. That's what I've been trying to get people to understand, is that, I have tried to be a living testament of I'm proactive and not reactive, passive. I haven't checked. I did a live until, I don't know, 4:00 this morning or something, and then I went to bed and I got up early, so I haven't been on. I've been dealing with weather, and firewood was getting covered with with snow, and I had to get it in the house. My off-grid lifestyle I live was dominated my morning this morning, so animals needed fed and all that. All this. Apologize. I appreciate you so much. I haven't. I haven't. Me and these electronics, darn it. Bless you so much. I appreciate your help. I don't know why the Father hasn't sent me people, so I don't have to worry about all this money situation. I don't want to think about it at all, to be honest with you. I don't. Oh, my life shouldn't be like this, but this is the way He wants it, so I have to deal with it. So I have had the struggle that I've had until I really started blowing this alarm and really loud. And I mean, I've done it before, and I have a record for doing it. So, yeah, He says He does all things after His own counsel and for His own pleasure. He does what He wants. So yeah, I don't question Him. I know He can change it in the twinkling of an eye. There's nothing. He is the way maker, and He makes the way, He paves the way. He's the one who, whether He uses men or the sun, evil men, good men, women, all things, weather, animals, he's uses all those things against men. So yeah, all things, and I have to remember that and remind myself of that daily. You guys know, dispersing Wayne, appreciate it. You're there for me. When I don't have that in my life, at least I can use this. I say I don't like it, but at least I get on here and I talk with my brothers and sisters, which is a blessing. So I thank you for not only your contribution to help with my situation with my finances right now, which are, again, I got to get over this hump, man. This is my Jubilee year. I've put so much time and effort. I've tried so hard not to be in this position. I've put in so much work. But I've put up more treasure in heaven. I put up my treasure in heaven, and that's where I should make, if I had like a Patreon or something like that, maybe I can. But honestly, since I hadn't been about like that, I haven't had these struggles. I've been able to trade and pave my way by not using dollars. And when I had them, and I explained, I got rid of them real quick and buy something, and so I could fix it up and pay my way by my labor. I have some money to buy something, but then I improve it, fix it, make it better, and turn it for a profit or for another trade. So I can turn it into another trade or turn it into another profit that I normally, turn right back into another asset. I don't have much money or I don't hold on to it very long. Like I said, growing up, my son would see me have, $1,000 or $2,000 in my pocket, but I had to have a bank to work with. And a lot of times some of that was bill money that I was holding, for the month, or, something that I had intended on trying to purchase enough money to make a trade on. People don't, but my bank's to zero, and it's hard to work, and my assets have gone down. Normally have a quite the selection of vehicles. Always have half a dozen of them, it seems like, because I work on them and fix them and buy them. And with one catching on fire and the other one, the transmission, all these things just happen to me all at once. And I wish the Father would have people stop robbing me, taking everything I have. Remember I told you just, 5 years ago, I lost everything from my blood, not my family, but my blood took everything, and they're very wealthy, very well off. They didn't need a thing of mine, none of it. So, but it's the Father. So I don't hold any ill will towards them. I have to let all that, behind me. And no matter what, judgment, it will, He says, let vengeance be mine. Cool. Yeah, I've had probably 1,000 cars. I don't know how many cars I've owned. I've owned way too many, but I remember I fix them up and I buy them myself. And people, are you a car dealer? Every time I see you, you're driving a different car. But that's part of my lifestyle. That's how my dad was able to make his way. Um, he had three boys, in Los Angeles, California, living on Social Security, and that didn't even pay the mortgage at the time. His Social Security didn't cover, and he was 100% disabled. You know, so he had to I saw him. He's what he did. My godfather or whatever. Um, he did motor work, and my dad, we'd go all over LA and down to Mexico, and he'd go have the upholstery done down there, and we go into the factories in LA and get all the material and all the different things. I had quite the interesting lifestyle. For those eight years I got to be to be with my father. But he made his way by he did other things, obviously, but that was a lot of what I see he did, and that's how he was able to make sure that we had to work for what we had. But we had all the pagan Christmases, and we did all the birthdays, and we did all that pagan stuff, and there was a lot of gifts and a lot of we didn't go without. We had to work for what we had, but we had chores every day, all those things. Very seldom when we weren't working on the house, or homework or whatever. That he was really strict. My dad was a really strict dude. But anyways, he just had a rank and a file, and the way like he liked things done. And even he was young. When he passed, he was 37 years old. So even uh, I don't know. My father said he was going to do something. Oh, well, my father's in heaven, but my dad, when he said he was going to do something, he did it. He didn't falter on that, and his word was his word, and he wouldn't say something unless he was going to complete it. So yeah, I don't know why the father puts me in these positions sometimes, but I blame it on him, and I get mad and yell and scream and fight with him, and I try and fight with the flesh, or I fight my battle is my own flesh, and I try not to fight brothers and sisters, and our principalities. Remember the spiritual wickedness, powers, and the rulers, the darkness is in this place. And it's but my battle is not with the people, for again why nobody's in my life, and whatever anybody's ever keeps taking from me, or it just keeps being a pattern that I can try to avoid, but it doesn't matter. um, I think until the day I die, it's gonna have people take everything from me, and it's just gonna yeah, I can have everything and get on my feet again, and it'll all be taken from me, and I'll go back to the struggle. So every time I get up, he'll kick me back about 3 steps. I might make 5, but then he'll kick me back 10 or whatever. Uh, so that's okay. I don't want to have wealth. Remember, I don't want to even have money. I want people in my life, so I don't need any money. I've tried to tell people you don't need money. You guys are out of your minds. You call me crazy, but I think it's wise to have a power bill and be hooked up to a smart meter. No, I don't think that's very wise. Thanks for coming in. Good to see you again. Um, I was trying to keep it weather uh, related, but dispersing weight's such a blessing to the channel. Always puts a sister and brother and mother, my mother, uh, a son of God, and has helped out the channel. So we were just having that discussion a little bit enormous. I don't, like I said, I don't even like talking about it. I just don't like it. I don't know why the Father made me right now have to have this, I have $20,000 worth of my stuff that I've tried to get the sheriff to come out and get involved with so I can go get it. I was going to give it back to the other pretty lady that supposedly I thought she had been unalived, but it got stolen from her sister, but she don't want to go pick it up. And I'm the one who actually bought it. So at this point, I don't know what happened to that lady. And at this point, I don't have the time to deal with it. I have another life. I've given up so much time for that cause. You see it on my TikTok channel with me, try to get the cops involved for a long time, and my stuff's just sitting there and I can't, you know, so, yeah, anyways, you know, I know. It'll stop when I die. It'll probably every time I get up and I get my house built, he'll kick me down and it'll fall back on my face again, and I'll pick up my teeth and I'll put them back in my head and I'll get up back up on the horse and I'll ride again. So it's only a lifetime. It's a long one. This one seems, even though it's only just 50 years, uh, it seems like a lot more than at least double or triple that. I feel like I've lived a few in this realm. Don't corkscrew or spin me. You can't corkscrew or spin me. So, hey, what's happening, Tater? What are you doing in here? How we doing? My Berkey. Backup filters, supplements, tools. Love it. Yep, I love my long-term boosters. Most people. Yeah, that's what I have. That's what I have. That's why I love you, sister. I love you because that's where I find my values, in that shelter, so I can archive the books. So I can archive the word will never die. The aletheia, the truth. Oh, I'm sorry, brother. I don't know why I said that. um, it's a son of God, brother, sister, mother. It's all the same thing to me, right? But thank you, brother. Son of God, I said earlier. We're all the aletheia, or those that are in this narrow way, the teachings of agape and the teachings of uh, the word itself. When we seek it, he reveals what's written on our hearts. So um, his truth tells me that I create all things. So it's not anybody else doing it. It's him doing it. I'm not mad at anybody. Like I said, I'm mad at him. But don't worry about it, guys. He'll deal with me when I get there. Brothers, sisters, I have my own battles with him. But unfortunately, sometimes I get a little weak and I have to come in here and lean on you guys. And I appreciate my family in here, because I don't have any family that I actually talk with, that I can touch or see actually in the physical. So this platform is such a blessing to me, and the ministry and the teaching, I wish just tried so hard. I just wanted to go to Tennessee and see brother Jim and get away from here for the winter and not even be here. I kicked, I screamed, I tried, I yelled, I did everything I could. I went on, I did everything, try to get people to come to my property so I could leave. I sold everything I possibly could to get my financial situation. Everybody just, he just beat me back down again and again and again. So I'm okay, because I'll make it for somehow, some way. I haven't paid a land payment in 10 years late, but I've never had to really lean on anybody else to do that. I made the mistake of leaning on my family when I was going through the 10, almost 9 years of battling court costs and trying to get my son out of a bad situation. He was being abused, and that's very expensive. And I was just a single dad, and was, I own my own business or whatever, but I caught heck for some money that I couldn't pay back, and I never could seem to pay it back, even though I did with interest. It was always held over my head. You know what I'm saying? So I got that from a young age, from my own blood, made me feel super guilty about having to borrow some money to try to get my son from being abused. And then from then on, it's always stuck with me. I don't like going to anybody, or I don't really like having to rely on anybody, because it put me in such a horrible situation that I had to deal with, and for decades. And they would still hold it over my head if they could, even though I've done so much, ran their businesses for them, all their, just so many things, did all their TV and radio ads for them. They wanted to use my voice, and because, all the things that, I bend over backwards for them, and I was the greatest thing since sliced bread. But they throw me to the dogs and the wolves if when they were done using me, and then still pull that stuff over my head. And these are the same people, guys, again, that are very wealthy, came and took everything from me and my son, everything I've ever worked for 15, you know, 20 years, came to this property that I'm on, 6 years ago, and removed everything valuable um, that was supposed to be for my son, myself, and those, you know, all those things that I bought for others to prepare for these days that we're in right now. But it don't matter because nobody's here anyways. So it would be just, uh, it'd be pointless. It's like everything happens for a reason. Just like, you know, this versing weight, was really trying to help contribute to my finances, because obviously sees the struggle that I'm having, and wasn't able to get me the money, and I ended up getting robbed, or all that money would have been gone anyways, and I still haven't been able to recover any of that money, and I haven't even. I should probably be doing it today, but I don't. I don't know. Is the week? I don't even know what day it is. Uh, I just don't want to deal with finances, so I've just kind of, like I do with everything, I just let it go. you know, uh, I haven't even tried to recover the money. I got getting a new credit card and my cash out, but there's things I have to go through. Some of that stuff, it's still going to be held in evidence, and I can't dispute these charges until, because of the whole. It's just such a nightmare, So, but everything happens for a reason, because look at that. That PayPal that I was sent would have been transferred into my account, and all would have been taken. And I would have, it all have been just gone. So, you know, the Lord works in mysterious ways, and uh, that's the way it goes, right? He does all things after his own counsel for his own pleasure. So I'm hoping that this year will be my year. Again, I said I put in a lot of work for decades, and I'm hoping this. I've hit 50 years old. I'm hoping this will be my jubilee year. Okay, yeah, we're pretty much there already. I don't stop waiting for anybody to stop waiting for the moment. Please, brothers and sisters, stop waiting for the moment to happen. It's here already. You cannot respond. You have to be already doing it. You have to be living in that place. You're not going to get where you think you're going to go. This is not going to go down like you think it is. There's going to be a top-down control. It isn't going to be a Mad Max type of scenario. That it ain't going down like that. I'm tired of people, not anybody, but just the world thinking we ain't been to Mad Max yet. So there will be boots on the ground. They'll have blue helmets on, and you need to be where you're at. You need to be where you're at. You know what I'm saying? And just living a good life, enjoying the fact that you're set apart and you have a breakaway community, and you'll probably thrive, and you probably already have abundance, and you probably have the things that I haven't been able to obtain by having more people. But there are many successful people right now that are living that. It just takes growing that one or two extra tomato plants. If you've ever done that, like, oh my gosh, we got more tomatoes than we know what to do with. That's called abundance. And so it the community can thrive and grow and not rely on this uh, mega control electrical system that they've panopticon. They put everybody, this war machine, they put everybody in. Look at that. Non-genetically modified. non-fluoridated. Say, I got non-fluoridated. No, thank you. You know what I'm saying? I got the good stuff. I got the goods. It's grown with my own hands. I grew the soil that it was grown in. Bless you so much, Dispersing Weight. Thank you. Such an example and a shining light of what I believe our Father wants us to be doing right now. Get back to the dirt, get back to his gems. That all we don't need all these buildings, we don't need all these borders, we don't need this. We need to take care of these children. They're hungry. We got children that are going hungry and starving and dying in this country, in America, and they're funding wars outside our borders. You know, they're giving people who don't even have citizenship into this country money, and there's children that are starving that are citizens in this. This is what's going on here, guys. Truly, it wouldn't take probably less than 20% of the population to grow non-genetically modified, open pollinated food, just like Dispersing Weight, and they wouldn't be able to offer it us at the grocery store, you know. But you know, get your gardens ready, get your gardens hardened. If you're going to grow a garden this year, have a hail plan, please. Be ready to and get it ready. Get it ready before you even put it in. Make it part of your plan. Do you have a hail plan for your garden this year? It's going to get pelted with hail. I believe hail in the United States is going to hit from one coast to the other, and it's going to take a lot of crops out this year in the spring. We're going to have a wild, wacky, windy spring, and it's going to weather's going to dominate this earth. It's not going to be too much longer. We're tipping into this. Yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Bless you. I know. Get under right now if you can. Find a place under the frost line, and harden your roof or something. You know, if you can, and that should take some pretty good size hail. Hopefully, if you don't, you know, we don't get that. I mean, that is hail that will just pummel a lot of roofs, guys. You know, that's coming. Don't fool yourself. We've had gorilla hail events. They have it call it gale events where there's, you know, it used to happen. You know, that's larger than like a, you know, a cantaloupe size type hail, and that's a term they've, you know, coined for that size, and it's called gorilla hail. And it used to just happen once a year. Maybe we'd have a year or two skipped on this earth, and there wasn't an event. But now it's happening frequently in multiple locations throughout, you know, this plane that we live on, and it's not abnormal. It's actually, they've coined that term because it happens so often. And again, I've blown the horn about basketball size hail in the 1800s when our Earth's atmosphere was shrunk by low solar activity from the sun, and we took on basketball size hail in the 1800s that leveled wooden cities to the ground, just beat them and pulverized them to the ground. So weather will dominate the earth. I hope you have a hail plan. You can protect your garden from, you know, probably some pretty good size hail if you cover it. You know, there's a lot of, like, you know, things like that nylon and stuff that, you know, like a cloth, you know, that's it's got a weave in it, and it could take a pretty good, and it'll still let enough light in, which you should probably be protecting your garden this year from that hot white sun. You know, we used to be able to grow, you know, tomatoes out in hot, you know, there's full sun plants right now they don't grow well in the sun anymore. It takes putting them in the shade to be successful, like we used to have that, you know, more orange. Even in the summer, obviously it gets nice and hot and white, but it's not supposed to be like that the whole time. You know, that's not a normal sun. It normally is very more dim towards the spring. That doesn't make that plant shoot up so high, and it'll eventually fall over if it's in. That's why we struggle. Some people, you know, that's another thing. I really wish people would get their hands in the soil. It's not something you can just do. You don't just stick seeds in the dirt and grow it. It's a skill set. It takes practice. You know, people are master gardeners from, you know, year after year after year, decade after decade. They learn, and then they'll learn their climate and grow seeds that are conducive to the weather in their grow zone. But that's shifting. If you haven't seen it, you know, that the earth does what it wants now. I don't know, my bad, but it seems like the earth's really bipolar. You know, like it says in scripture, it says that the earth's, you know, Like he said, I'm going to change. I control this Pleiades. I control. There's no goddess of heaven up there spinning that, Big Dipper around the pole. I will change your seasons in the middle of your growth. It'll turn temperate and I'll make it extreme and I'll switch it right back again. And he showed that and we're seeing that again, we're seeing his power. And I'm telling you, that's from the sun. That's what's causing this. It's a ripping away of that magnetosphere. It's a ripping away from that, protection. A welder, anybody who knows heat knows that you got carbon. It's going to cause that flame to from its purest form to be working it backwards blue. Add some carbon to it. It's going to take that pure blue flame away and turn it white. Add more carbon back to it. It's going to make that whitish yellow color. Add more carbon, more particulate back to it. We're going to get more to a yellow color. Add more carbon. This is what's going on with our magnetosphere, guys. This is why we see a bright white sun, because that particulates in our atmosphere has been weakening it's been getting melted off by that hot white sun. Obviously, by the last 3 solar cycles, our Earth's activity has stepped down. In this solar cycle 5, we've seen a little bit increase in this solar maximum that we're in, but don't forget, in about a year and a half, we go back into the solar minimum, and I don't think we'll see this activity again on our next. It will step down, and it has, and that's what has happened with our sun. It's not rocket science. A child that doesn't have bills and had a wife or ex-girlfriend, ex-boyfriend is going to understand this. It is quite elementary. Again, the sun in the last 3 solar cycles, if you think 3 solar, if you're old as me, you remember it used to be much more yellow. So we continue to add more particulate to that yellow. We're going to be a yellow orange, and then more carbon and more, like a dirty flame, it's going to be orange, like that sun was. And that's because that sun has stepped down its energy and our atmosphere is shrunken, and we've been getting closer and closer to that sun, which has actually been burning off because heat makes magnetism dissipate. You throw a magnet in the fire, you watch a live stream of Truth or Predestined for Light here, it's going to be a minute. I get long in the tooth, but when that live stream's over and the fires burn out, that's not a magnet anymore. It loses its magnetism. We've also been in an excursion in history where we have been pushing towards that pole, which is the equator, right? Towards that middle equator, and it's warmer. So this is all happening. It's not something, what exactly expecting to happen on which continents? Fortunately, the way our atmosphere works, it's going to affect everybody on our Earth. Even if the Earth gets hit by energy from the sun, it's the event it's where it's a circuit. We're all connected. Everything's connected. There's no islands. It's all one circuitry. There's waters above, waters below, the firmament. This is what Tesla was messing with, pulling energy, whole currents. A lot of people don't pay attention that circuitry from that's lightning. I've warned people many years ago that lightning will start coming up out of the ground. And we've been used to seeing it come from the top, but it's a circuit. And I know that there would be a polarity change, and that's when we've already starting to see that on this Earth. Lightning literally lift itself up out of the ground and then connect up all this connects. It's all connected. We live in an electric universe. The sun is an electric, it shoots off ionized and deionized gases, plasma, like a plasma cutter, or like you cut steel with that, right? Protons, basic. I'm trying to keep it very simple and not overdo it to make it complicated. It really isn't complicated, but when the sun's energy, think about heat, it expands a balloon. That's our magnetosphere. When we don't have solar activity, that regular solar flare on a regular, and with that steps down, the sun gets quiet, and it has its activity. Our atmosphere has shrunk. That's happened in the 1800s. We were in the same type of minimum where the Earth's atmosphere shrunk down. There's been many minimums. There's the Maunder minimum, and then there's the Dalton minimum. There's been the Wolf and the Oort, and there's been many of these cycles of our sun. Actually, this is a very cold planet a majority of the time. We only have small, brief moments of warming, and we have been particularly in the longest warming period we've ever experienced. It's been way warmer in history, don't believe this hype about not. That's why they've left that whole narrative and have gone to this climate, change and nobody believes Al Gore. Al Gore needs to get the Nobel Peace of Crap Prize winner. Al Gore needs to get in. Your children won't see snow. All the ice caps gonna come on. They knew before this solar minimum that there's normally a spike, and it does. Obviously they use the hockey stick. 150 years of history. Go back and look 400,000 years through the paleoclimatology records, through the strata, through the Earth's like an ice cream sandwich, a chocolate, strawberry, vanilla. It has layers, and you can look through our Earth. You can look at the magnetism on like the Mid-Atlantic Ridge as it moves across these magnetic zones. They can find this magnetism in pottery, guys. This is not the stuff I'm just trying to relate to you, that this is something that is not, it's not rocket science. It's not something we can all understand, but this Earth has been shifting and changing, and that's because of the sun and the way that the sun, because the sun drives the climate of this Earth, that it goes through all these layers of our atmosphere, and we have several layers that have a function. Most people they've only ever heard of the ozone layer. Maybe they've heard of the stratosphere, the very top layer of our atmosphere, but there are many layers that have functions, and they all function on this circuitry of an electric universe that we live in, from the connection to our star, our sun, to the connection to these other bodies, Jupiter, Saturn, and its circuit, and all these things have, a solar maximum where our energy steps up for 5.9 years, and then it drops down, a solar minimum. That's a regular cycle. That's what you learned in school. That's what they told you. That's the basic cycle. And it, basically since the 70s, it's been very normal, and until then. And then again, we've stepped down. See, right about that time that I told you about, 30, 40, about 3 cycles ago, it started stepping that energy down. And so just like in the solar minimum during the 1800s, when our Earth's atmosphere shrunk down because it wasn't getting regular solar pumping that magnetosphere up on a regular basis, when it steps down, we got so close to the sun that when that actually bombards our Earth, it causes more water vapor in our atmosphere. It causes exciting to the cloud nucleation of that, attaches it to make more water vapor, and it creates more layers of vapor in our atmosphere. And so during the 1800s, that happened, and that's what created that hailstone the size of basketballs, because that extra water vapor in our upper atmosphere, which then obviously what goes up must come down. It came down and it pummeled cities, because of this solar minimum. In scripture, it talks about one of the plagues of Revelation, and we are there in Revelation. We are there in the apocalypse, not Armageddon. So it talks about 149 pound. Just make it 150, 149 pound, 14 ounce. That's a talent. Like Solomon's temple was a certain amount of talents of gold, remember? Okay, so that talent, each one of those talents was 149 pounds, 14 ounces of gold in his temple, times how many talents. But a talent is a weight of measurement. And I think that pales in comparison to basketball size hail. I don't think any city on this earth is going to be able to survive. Even some of these high-rise buildings are going to get crushed, by this hail. And it's just part of what it says in that book. And you don't believe it, then fine. There's other, cotton candy, lollipop, the word isn't part of their life. They don't live it. They're not a living testament, and it's not in them. So it lives in me, and it reigns in me, and I'm just a vessel because I know it says that. And I've been preparing for that for decades, and to at least be wise. It's extra oil. That's all it is to me. An ark, a place to bury his books, a place to get away from, at least maybe I won't get 149 pound hail where I'm at. Maybe it'll just be that basketball size hail. Maybe I'll get lucky. Maybe it won't. It's just a matter of time before weather will dominate this earth, guys. We just had an event that's never been recorded in our history of having 5 low latitude and in the areas where it normally takes massive energy, high energy, X 10, 20, 30, high energy protons, cosmic solar radiation bombarding that magnetosphere and penetrating through it so that we see those little visuals of that. It's not good. It's pretty to look at, but it's not, that is showing that energy penetrating that magnetic protection that I've been telling you about, that canopy up there that's been scrubbed off by that hot sun. And we've only ever had 2 of those events in 1 year, where we see it low, like down in Mexico or Ukraine or in Florida or in Texas. All those fires are going on right now, Arizona, and all. You don't see it down that low. It normally stays up towards the poles. That's where the auroras happen, up there. They don't come down that low. And if they have, it's very rare, and it takes a high energy X-ray type solar flare or coronal mass ejection with a massive release of plasma that hits our magnetic protection. And we saw 5 events in 2023. As I told you, it would be the year of everything you see in the sky. And because I know the cycles and the Chinese balloons and all the other, all female, stupid bowl, that year of the fighter pilots, and everybody they got you looking up like crazy, don't they? They are getting ready, and they know that these events are happening because that magnetosphere is something that should put all these wars on hold. We should say, okay, hold on. Actually, I don't believe in borders, but I believe that, hey, maybe we should hold off on migrating people for a second and think about where we're going to put these people at, because this is something that's never been recorded in history. We've never had these 5 events, and it didn't even take those high X-class flares to do it. It caught them with their pants down multiple times. We had G6, 7 geomagnetic storms, which caused these low latitude auroral events where they saw red and yellow auroras, and in Texas and Mexico, pink and yellow and red aurora. That takes a high energy event, guys, to smack our Earth and to hit that direct facing energy. We had events with an M-class flare, which is low level energy, and we saw auroras in Texas and Mexico, and our shields are hammered. They're not going to get better. They're not going to tell anybody about this. I'm here to tell you this is happening, and this is already why they've said, hey, we've entered the 6th extinction event. We're in the 12,000 year cycle. They've already told people, but the most of the world's just going on like nothing's happening. But there are those that are getting ready right now. You should look into television and see they're getting ready. They're not even, a lot of them aren't even hiding. Mark Zuckerberg, I'm building a bunker, all this nonsense. But they're getting ready. The masses aren't. They're telling you, oh, you're crazy for doing things like that, but they're really not. If you look around, they've announced that, FEMA said have a month, 2, 3. They've already announced, stand on the X, go inside, something's coming. Go inside, put on your face diaper. I don't know. It seems like some top-down control to me. It's coming, huh? They know this is going to happen, guys. You're not going to run away from this weather. It's going to find you sooner or later on this earth. It's like trying to play a game of roulette. Zzz, sooner or later, you put enough of those in that you want to play with that. I suggest that you get away from that, wherever it's going to fire. Get some protection. Put some dirt between you and that sun, okay? That's what I'm going to tell you. Weather will dominate the earth. Yeah, that for first, Jeffrey. Always our spiritual house, but don't play lollipop Christian in here with me, okay? Spit your gummy Jesus. He tells his people he wants their loins girded and to be wise and have extra oil and to be having those things that we are needing. He prepared a place. He's the biggest preparer on the planet. But get your spiritual house in order. But don't come in here pitching the other Jesus that we were warned about. Okay, I love the thing, but I despise the other Jesus, the 3:16. I believe, Jesus, because belief is a verb, not what you think or not in your head. So careful in here. We are wise. And he tells us to look for the signs and to have our loins girded, Maranatha, until he returns. So we rebuke the other Jesus, and we expose the other Christmas pagan Catholic Nimrod Jesus in here. So please, I hope that's not who you were referring to. Yeah, he's all we need, but he calls who he's to be wise and to do those things, just like he told Noah to prepare an ark. So careful with your gummy bear Jesus, if that's what you got. Noah didn't listen to the gummy bear Jesus, all the people who scoffed at him. He prepared that ark, and he did it for decades, and he was a conspiracy theorist all the way up until the day of the flood, correct? So careful. I don't like that. I don't like this throwing people off of causing people to not want to all you gotta do is just put all your faith in Jesus. That's true. Faith without works is dead, though. It's not what you believe, because it's not what you think, huh? That's a verb, not a faith is a noun. So please be wise, brothers and sisters. Put up extra oil. Don't listen to the foolish virgins. They'll tell you, don't worry about it. But they'll be headed in the wrong direction going to get oil when they need it. And that's exactly when the bride and that's exactly what, like Noah, bam, that door will shut in your face. And you'll be on the other side. Which side of the door do you want to be on? So you can squeeze through the fence right now. Be a lamb of God. Don't listen to this world, and he'll squeeze you through. He'll tell you what side. Go through suffering. Go through that narrowing so you can fit through that straight gate. So got to cut off the self. Thanks for coming in there, John. Get your spiritual house in order before all things. Absolutely. Put your treasure up on heaven, but just like I said, on this, prepare for weather. Don't prepare for politics, or prepare for weather and prepare for people who don't have, because they are going to come banging down your door. So I prepare the way, the hados, by a narrowing, by cutting off of self. Don't do the things of this world. So, okay, get away from the world. How about that? That's the best advice I can give you. Population density will be the biggest, killer on the earth. Watch. The more people you're around, the more people who won't have, and they're going to try to take in from you, and they'll do anything, because when they're not thinking with their head, and they're not thinking with the spirit, and they're not being meek, and they're not settled and knew that this day, and they didn't prepare for this day, they're going to be motivated by their belly and not thinking with their stomach. Oh, yeah. They're going to be thinking with this and not this. So you need to get away. I'm not kidding. That is the best advice I can give you, and form a community away from people. Away. Meek. I'm a pacifist. I've been a veteran. Trained killer. I've left all that behind. I'm a soldier of God now. I serve him. He's my commander, highest and above all. And he tells me to have my loins girded. That is my commander. 2 John and 6, he tells me to love, agape, patient, meek, kind, right? To not turn. So find a community of people that want to be meek, that want to get away from this, break away from society. The broad path is the path that leads to hell. The easy path, the convenience. Preparing the way is a hard path. It's put your hands in the soil, girded, loins, abundance, ready to feed people, not unalive them because they're coming to take your stuff. Have enough extra oil. Yes, I know the foolish virgins, it was too late for them, but have extra oil. So not only you could be found burning bright, that you'll have extra oil for your foolish virgins, and that you'll be able to lift them up when they need it. But you need to break away to do that. You're not going to do that. You're going to be taken from, especially if you have small numbers. You're going to be walked on, not Mad Max. There's going to be a period of time. Well, they'll let this, Hunger Games run free, but it'll be controlled. They're going to come after your food. So just get away. Is how I pitch. I don't want to prepare none of it. Don't be down there fighting people for the last roll of toilet paper or a box of macaroni and cheese. Be over there with your wife and going, honey, here we go again. I know your husband. man, you could go down there, just get a couple or those 36 rolls like we did every time. We didn't buy the store out, so nobody even noticed us. We didn't back the truck up. They bought everything. Oh, let's follow them home. They're a prepper. They've got to, put them on a list. Don't do it like that. It's a lifestyle. So some of these things we just need to not overdo it now, and don't cause any red flags. But start, if you don't, get a water filter. Get a handheld water filter. This one filters, I got this at the Goodwill for 50 cents today. Then I got robbed. But anyways, they make the life straws, they make the soil filters. Be independent become your own water company, so to speak. And you can stick that in the back of your toilet. You could stick it in a puddle, a pond. Now nobody can tell you, hey, water's going to become a thing, guys. It obviously, look at all the releasing of all these dams right now. But water first, food second, and a way to protect that. The best way that I know to do that is to get away. Do not participate in none of it. If you can, I'm not trying to cause you to panic. Look at what the event that's happening. Look at what I told you that they know that's going to happen. Look what they're doing. Look what they're doing. The things they're telling you. Yeah, we still get your skill set up, because it doesn't matter what you have. You need a water filter. You got to have that. You got to have that water filter. Every one of us should have one in our pocket. Something you can carry. A pocket water filter. Very important. It doesn't have to be fresh water, because you can stick a life straw in pond water. You can stick it in the water running down the street if you had to, whatever, and a puddle. Again, the back of your toilet, and it's going to purify it enough to make it clean enough to drink. And it has a charcoal filter. It's a life straw. I don't know why I normally lift. I don't know where it's at. Here we go. Oh, is that there? Where is that? There we go. This one will filter. You can't carry 1,000 gallons of water, but this gives you independence. If you need to, be mobile, guys. You need not to be a sitting duck. I want you to get away, but I want you to be able to get up off your tail and leave. Yeah, I have a Berkey and Alexa Pure. That's a good filter. Good old Alex Jones with his whatever. He does good stuff. His health food store with Health Ranger, they got good stuff, guys. So I wouldn't even mention it if it wasn't something I wouldn't use myself. I prefer the Berkey. I think the Berkey has a better taste to it, and I'm all about taste. They both do 99% that do the same thing that this one does as well. This is an Alexa Pure. This is a Berkey, but it's handheld, guys, and you can stick this in a cup, a stream. They have this same type of filter in like a bottle you can dip in the water, and then you can tilt it like a water bottle. It's still got the same filter. This filters 1,000 gallons of water. 1,000 gallons. So you can't carry 1,000. So this will last you long enough to get to probably a good water source. Everyone should have one of these. Okay. This is a great barter item, guys, in the future. I believe this will be worth more than this 5-ounce bar of silver right here, which I believe will be extremely valuable in the future, because it's always been money. So that's $150. Would you rather have one of those or 15, maybe possibly 18, or maybe even 20 of these for the same price? I think if you shopped around right now, these aren't overly expensive. They've gone up since a little bit, but I've actually paid more than the price you can get for mine that I have, because I bought them singly. But Bezos carries them. There are places that sell them more in a bulk. I wouldn't go with these off-brand of this too. I would stick to this life. There are others. Do your own research. But I know that these save lives every single day. Children in countries where the water's not drinkable, this is what they use to drink every day, guys. Yeah, Food for Patriots has garbage food. There's way better food than that, John. There really is. That's a lot of filler. Go after protein. Look up Canadian Prepper. There's access on food stamps. You can buy Mountain House and some of these brands that are in your stores. You can buy them on food stamps if you're on low income, and a lot of us had things stuck to us. So never forget that. I don't want to talk down that, but a lot of that is crap. A lot of these people who put out long-term food storage, look what's in it, guys. You can get access to a lot because he has a good food company, John, is what I'm saying. And if you can get access to that, guys, that's better than nothing. But look what's in it, guys. I've done preparedness. I've had freeze dryers. I've owned 5 freeze dryers, guys. I have food where I'm at that I prepared that you can't buy from none of these companies. You understand? What I'm trying to tell you is a lot of these companies that do preparedness, they give you things like mashed potatoes in a bag. And yes, it's in a bag, in a Mylar bag with the oxygen absorber. It'll last 20, but you can do that yourself. You know, there are a lot of things you can prepare that these preparedness companies, it's filler, guys. It's soups, and you need meat. You need protein. You understand? You need protein. You need to put as much protein as possible as you can away. Trust me. I know high caloric intake is, but protein, I'm a vet. I've done preparedness for 30 plus years. Okay, guys, as a lifestyle, I'll give you all my ups and downs and woes. If you look at these companies, why do you need to buy mashed potatoes? Why do you need to buy soup? Why do you need to buy rice? Why do you need to buy any of that stuff when you can do that yourself? Buy from a company that has high quality protein and then build your own. Go buy Mylar bags while you can still get rice, while you can buy instant potatoes, while you can buy oxygen absorbers, and make that all for yourself. And you'll have more and higher quality. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So appreciate it, John. I have my Patriot Supply food. I have some in my stores. I tried it, but I will look through it again because I've done it. And I like the idea, guys. Hear me out. If you can do this, why we still have consecutive power, guys. I had to sell all my freeze dryers, and because I'm not on the grid. Trust me, if I had 2 or 3 people out here, I would hook this other property up to the grid that I own. Go ahead and do their stupid little walk through the walk, get the address out here, hook it up to the power pole, just the front, just one building hooked up to the power pole, and we'd be freeze drying everything out here, all of it. The chickens, the rabbits, the vegetables, the cow, all of it, the goats, all of it would be freeze dried. And it would be put in Mylar bags, and it would be stored long-term. But we would be storing protein is what we'd be going after, guys. And I'm not saying that vegetables and the fruit, there's so much amazing things. So here's my point. You're on the grid. These freeze dryers have become very reasonably priced. They'll even sell you one on a payment. When it first started, bought the first freeze dryer, Harvest Right was the first company they ever came. They didn't have a large. Okay. The first one that they had would be considered the small and the medium, and I bought, which was the large at the time. I bought that first stainless one they ever put out, and I've been doing it that long, guys. So I've been there since the beginning of the freeze dryer companies. They got a long history since there. They sell a 7 tray. They sell all kind of huge. You guys, you can go down to Tractor Supply, and you guys, it used to take a long time to get it put on. They have a scratch and dent section where nothing's going to be wrong with the guts. They're going to give you the same warranty as a brand new unit. I encourage you to look for these. You can get a huge, like a dent in the side. It's got a little ding in the side of it. It doesn't affect the filter. It's never been dry, or the freeze dryer itself. It's got a compressor, condenser, the chamber, the vacuum pump. It's a unit. But if it didn't dink and it's got like a little ding in the side, why pay another $500, $800, $1,000? They have some of these too at these Tractor Supplies places, guys, because they get bumped on the floor. Okay, they'll still warranty it. They'll stand behind their warranty for it. So you're going to save $1 for the same unit. Go in with somebody right now, guys. Listen, pound for pound, if you're trying to buy good, high quality, long-term food storage, one of those buckets. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Beautiful, Keely. Thank you. That's perfect. That's what I'm saying. It's just cosmetic. It doesn't, and they'll still warranty it. You can deal with a little ding or something in the side, or a little scuff on the, door or something. They'll send it out, and it's still gone through all the same testing, whatever. It's never been laid over or flipped over, on its side. That's not what's happened to most of them, and you can get a huge discount. And again, because they pump some of these out, because these things are, you know, there was such a demand when they first came out. This is not new technology, but there was a high demand because of preparedness is something that people understand, like myself. I didn't do it so much for preparedness. I started realizing that the food quality was getting worse and worse and worse. And I noticed with preparedness, I could only buy beef chunks back then, chip pieces of beef in that machine. You control what you put in that machine, the quality that you put in that machine. And then unlike drying, where you lose 30%, dry it on a rock, the heat of you're going to lose 30% of that protein, guys. It's in that is lost from the heat. And when you can, you lose, up to 40% of the, think of that as $100 bill a percent. If you're using that item for trade, if you got a steak and you lose less than 3% of the nutritional value when you freeze dry something, at least in its raw form. You don't lose that. If you try to prepare that same meat, which is awesome. I love canned meat, guys. I've even freeze dried canned meat because I don't care about the protein. I want that taste later, but you're going to lose that nutrition. So you got a $97 bill, not 100, because you lose 3% of the protein. You're going to lose 30%. So you got a $70 bill when you dry it on the rocks like the native did when you dry things. I'm trying to give you an idea, okay? And then doing it in canning, you got a $60 bill, right? Because you've lost that nutrition later down the road. And so if you actually had this stuff date stamped too, you're going to know the food was much better, more quality back then. And you controlled, I've got tri-tip, strips of tri-tip and, chunks and whole chicken thing, that you can get a lot of access to some of this now. But the neat thing about this is storing that protein, and you control what's put in that machine. So if you're going to go to one of these companies and try to buy a good bucket, I bet you it's $200 to $300 for a 5-gallon bucket of protein. Now you can buy into machine for about $3,000 now. You could probably even get them to ship you one for. It used to go from that company. You could buy it on layaway. It was no interest, so to speak, and they would ship you the unit whenever you paid it off. They'd let you just feed them money. They wouldn't ship it to you, which was nice because you didn't incur interest. And if the prices it didn't affect. It was a neat kind of a program that they have. But now they actually have a program where they'll send it out when I think if you get less than 2/3 of it paid off, if you can't even afford to get it now, as far as you can get money going into that account, you're not going to incur, I believe, any interest. Nothing's changed with this company. And then they'll ship it to you before you even paid the thing off. I've been doing this when this started, guys. So hear me out. I don't know. That's 10 buckets, guys. That's 10 buckets. And then you got the machine to do all these amazing treats. Fruit turns into candy. You will not need candy if you have a freeze dryer, because fruit turns into candy. Canned fruit stuff, it's amazing, guys. And then they do all these other, chocolate mousse with Necco wafers with a little, whipped cream on, and it all turns into like this little meringue. It's insane, the treats. I'm not into the whole sugar thing, but told you, that's morale boosters too, guys. If you got the treats later when everybody's suffering and everybody just trying to survive, you're thriving. When you got the Necco wafer chocolate mousse sprinkled with it, and it all, guys, what they make in these machines now are insane. The stuff that they do with them, the freeze dried, people are making massive amounts of money just buying these machines and selling candy on TikTok. Look how many channels there are on TikTok buying these freeze dried, Skittles and man, what are those? The Whoppers. Oh my goodness. Some of this, that's not it. It's the Milk Duds. They blow up. Everything turns into like a styrofoam. Either way, they're a good investment. If you can't afford it yourself, what I encourage you is to go in with maybe your neighbor. And yes, guys, this isn't a microwave. You don't sit it in there for 90 seconds. Some of these things takes 2 to 3 days to prepare. You have to get it ready. You have to have the Mylar bags. What I'm telling you, the quality, guys, is there. What you cannot match freeze dried, because what makes long-term food storage dissipate or go bad is either oxidation, exposure to the sun and oxygen, or moisture, moisture. And so that's the unique thing about what a freeze dryer does, is it gets rid of all that moisture. There's no moisture left in it. And it's not a complex process. I'm not going to go into all that, but if you can go into with somebody, if you think about what I'm saying, guys, I know that seems like a lot, because it is, that's a ton of money, but if you went in with your neighbor, like $1,500 a piece, you can probably get it for, $700-800 a piece, and get that thing to your door, and figure out a way to agree on, and start packing away high dense protein food that later you will not be able to put a price on, because food will be the new gold and silver. There's a reason why scripture says they'll throw their gold and silver in the streets, because you can't eat it. You can't eat, gold and silver. But anyways, these freeze dryers are quite expensive, guys. But if you actually start going and looking at what you buy from these companies, from My Patriot Supply, and gosh, there are some other ones out there that are just like it. Actually, there's so many of them out there now, because this is actually becoming a much larger thing. They're letting this out to the general public now. We see freeze-dried food at the Walmart. You can buy some of these Adair, I think it's Adair Foods, or Adair, or whatever, the ones who do the seed company. There's some of these others, and it's not, you can buy that on food stamps, guys. If people are low income and they don't have a ton of money, I know they need their money to get by, but maybe if they can just buy one can of something that's going to later, for a rainy day, you can tell them, hey, you can get that, and I would even buy that over seeds right now. It's not that you can't buy seeds on the EBT cards, and you can't buy fruit trees, and you can't, but you got to grow those, and you need something that's already cooked too, guys. It's very important too, what I'm telling you. You're not going to be wanting to burning a flame, because that makes smoke. There you go. So if you pack that, how long would it take you to come up with the money for a can to do it yourself? And you can buy the number 10 cans, and you can actually, you might not have the machine, but you can seal them yourself. There's ways to do this, guys, where it's not, you probably need a couple people. I don't know people that are well off like that, but there you go. Draws attention. Thank you for bringing me back on track there, Keely. If you have to cook something, guys, it's not, think about what the time it takes. I had a freeze dryer, and I was going out at the time buying Mountain House meals. People are like, why are you buying that? You have a freeze dryer. I'm like, look, $11.99, there's 2 servings in that bag. It's not just 1 serving of food. That's 2 full servings. That's times 2 of the protein on the front that it says. And I didn't care what was in the bag. I went after the protein on the front. Whatever had the highest protein is what I bought. I don't care what was in the bag. I was stacking protein, guys. You know what I'm saying? I know how to do this. So I'm like, $10.99, that's $5.50 a meal. I can't go right now and, I could go get 5 McDoubles or whatever. And so it's not a bad price, because you've got to not only have the food, you got to have the bag to put it in. You got to have the oxygen absorber to keep it long term, so it doesn't become, the oxygen is very important. It keeps that out of there. It's been freeze dried, so it doesn't have any moisture in it. You have to have the time and the machine that runs a full time. Once that freeze dryer turns on, that condenser stays on the whole time, and then it runs the vacuum pump consistently to keep the pressure on that vacuum to pull the moisture, because when the heaters kick on at an interval, that heats it just enough up so that food will release that moisture, and then it sticks to that freeze wall on the drum. So there's a process that's going on, and that all takes, it's not overly costly. They're really not that expensive to run. And yes, you'll see an increase in your power bill, but not a spike. They're not that expensive. Even if you run them full time, there's been a lot of studies on this, they really don't cost that, but that is a cost. Every time you run that machine is running, and that costs you. Now you got to take it out. You got to buy that Mylar bag and an oxygen absorber. You got to have the time to take it out and seal it up. That's your time too. Now remember, you had to prepare that food. You had to cook all that food too, remember? So you had to buy all that food, go to the store, get it. Now you have the cost to get it, but prepare it at home. That costs you money too, correct? To prepare it. It's not that bad of a price. And the thing that I'm getting at, that I'm making at, is that you need something that's already cooked. So you don't have to cook anything for a couple of weeks. You can heat up water, in this area where nobody's, going to see that water, but not burn a fire, you know what I'm saying, and not draw, attention. You can lose a little propane low, and keep that, and you don't even need to. That's only if you want it warm. You can just put the water on it and eat it as it. You can eat it dry. I don't recommend. Some of the stuff tastes pretty interesting dry. All the textures are pretty neat. But are you hearing what I'm saying? You need that food already cooked. You're not going to be wanting to cook this food, when things are kind of difficult and, you're more concerned about weather and these things that I'm saying, not zombies and none of this nonsense that they're pushing on us. But, you need to already have that food prepared. What kind of price can you put on that? You're telling me that bag's not worth $10.99? Yeah, they have heaters, guys, that like the military rations that use iron filings, that heat up, that activate and cause, there's lots of different, actually beautiful, John, thank you. You can buy heaters that don't require flame, guys. They're in a military ration, that you can heat food without any flame. So there's reaction that can be caused. And it's not just that, I forget what else. That's in oxygen absorbers too, the iron filings. That's what keeps the oxygen from, it oxidizes and it keeps drawing any moisture that's in the little pouch that's in that bag, getting it from oxidizing. So you're going to be able to control the food, guys, too, which is pretty neat in a freeze dryer. But even if you can just get access to some of this stuff that's freeze dried, guys, I know it seems a little steep sometimes when you look at that bag. Oh, it's even more than that now. It's probably $12.99 or something a bag or something like that for it. But for 2 servings that you don't have to go to the store and prepare, and it's already cooked, so all that time and effort's in it, and you can eat it without preparing it. That's a valuable bag of food, guys. That's extremely valuable. And remember, too, you don't need the freeze-dried with everything you should get access to it. There are many things that you can store for 10, 15, 20, 30 years without refrigeration that don't require freeze-drying, okay? Such as rice, beans. There's a lot of things. That's just a simple thing that if put in a Mylar bag and an oxygen absorber is put in there, it's going to be there 20, 25 years if it's stored properly in a reasonable temperature. And that's another thing, guys, that's extremely valuable. Canned food is not the way to survive long term, guys. If it heats up and it gets cold, it turns to mush. If it's like a vegetable, a lot of the fruits and stuff do not last in these cans. That's another unique thing about freeze-dried food, is that it doesn't succumb to the temperature changes. It can be in higher heat. It can be in cooler temperatures. Higher heat would probably affect it more than anything. But what is it going to do? It's not going to cook it inside the bag. It's already been prepared. It's dry. There's no moisture. How can it cook it? So yeah, maybe that would take away from the longevity of long term, but I don't think, peanut butter, honey stores indefinitely. Remember that, guys, honey stores forever. It might crystallize, but if you bring it back up to temperature, it will turn back into that liquid form. So yeah, peanut butter, Yodders for canned meats. Cool, good, excellent. Yeah, there's good stuff out there, guys. There's good companies too. I wasn't trying to down My Patriot, but it's a lot of filler, guys. And look, if you're going to look into getting some of this long-term food storage, that you're not buying things that you can get access to, freeze-dried potatoes. You can buy that stuff already. You can buy some of the stuff in bulk that they put in with this, chip chicken and chip protein or whatever, in soups and stuff. But you can get way more bang for your buck. I believe now there's some really good. I handed out whatever Canadian Preppers. I've never bought it, but I've seen it on the show, and he doesn't carry it. He carries the top of the line stuff. His stuff is more spendy, but you get what you pay for. Okay. Please look into whatever company that he's using up there. And there are others, but it's the high protein guys that I want you to go after if you're trying to do long-term food storage, and then supplement all the other things. You still need, try to get access to fruits and vegetables if you could, that are either dried or freeze dried or things like that, because we need all the other, there's other things that our body, definitely needs that we find in the fruits and the vegetables. So don't leave those other things out, but definitely um, please have something put away for a rainy day. I don't think God's just going to save you. You need to eat. You need to have oil, and be wise, because if you wait for things to get it more expensive, it's going to be harder to get access to. As I tell you, this solar minimum is happening. Our sun has stepped down the last 3 solar cycles. So I believe that we're going to see grow zones go offline. I believe, like David Devine on Adapt 2030 that I keep referring to, who's in a massive wealth of information, is talking about these grow zones going offline. Anything from the 45th lateral and above, you're not going to be able to grow food in those areas. Maybe some cold crops below the before the frost line, but you're not going to grow these crops that have been grown for decades now. And we're already seeing some of these derecho storms, and again, some of these hail things, and this bouncing back and forth with our, the multicadal oscillation of the uh, currents, and then even in the U.S., it back and forth like a ping pong ball. It warms up over on the west side of the United States, which pushes the cold and that polar vortex down into, and then it keeps flip flopping back and forth. This is again, we're seeing a lot of changes in our upper jet streams that broke up. They're not a nice tight pull with that, the polar jet stream is lagging down and kind of split apart up there. There's a lot going on, guys. And as those things happen in our upper jet streams, like doo-doo, it runs downhill, right? So it's going to have its effect on these lower portions of our atmosphere, and eventually make it here to our troposphere that we live in. We live within this layer of that atmosphere, which is the lowest layer. That's what we see up, and we look and see that we live in that troposphere, and that's the first layer. And so it does make it all the way down here. And a lot of that weather coming from our sun goes all the way through your doomsday bunker, and it penetrates all the way through the core of the earth. And it's raining in your bunker, and you're 150 feet under the ground, and it's still raining cosmic solar radiation on your head, because there's things that penetrate through our atmosphere that make it all the way to the core of the earth. I don't believe there's a spinning molten ball, okay, guys? But irregardless, it does penetrate through our magnetosphere, and it penetrates all the way through the core of this earth. So these are things that I think that that are going to affect this earth, and again, intensify. And we're going to see places that you can grow crops you're not going to be able to grow them, and that's why they're preparing certain places for the cycle that's on this earth, like such as the Sahel and some of these places over in Africa, which will have the largest grow zone on the planet. Remember, there was a dam out there, out in one of the driest places in the desert on the earth, and they built a dam out there. And they knew that these monsoons and stuff and these cycles would be shifting, and they had a projection, maybe a decade or 7 years or something. They said that they would take to start filling up. In 2 years, it was to the top. So there's already been a shifting, and they're already starting to prepare places and grow zones and move people around. Whether you understand what is happening right now, it's starting to happen already. So I sometimes look around and wonder, is the world just all asleep, to the word of God? Is their hearts been waxed cold? It does say that, right? He doesn't give everybody a hearing ear, and he does not remove the scales from most people's eyes, if you think about it. So I don't believe that most people are preparing and will even have any idea what's coming, and it'll be too late. And it will be that weather event that displaces them or takes their life, like happens irregardless of zombies or governments or HARP or spraying or anything. This is happening. Weather displaces hundreds, thousands, and sometimes tens of thousands of people before there was ever global warming or climate change or none of that. That's already a thing. But you should notice that there's been a massive increase, a massive intensity in the weather, and there's already going, and I'm talking about a shifting. Might not be as extreme, but there sure has been a massive shift. And I started talking about that in the 90s. So I've been on this kick for over 30 years about this changing of the weather. So it's not something that's new news to me. Um, I'm very aware of the shifts. I'm very aware of the patterns. I'm very aware of the cycles. I have been studying them for decades, and it's something that I'm trying to share with you, that you should be able to see noticeable changes on this earth for those things that are which to come. That's exactly NG, and that's what I wonder what it's going to be, right? Um, thank you so much. I constantly say that, brother. I say, that is what I'm preparing for. It says men's hearts will fail them. Gee, I wonder if it's going to be the sun. Yep. Hailstones, the weight of a talent. That's going to finally release that 146 gigarams, guys, of ocean that's sitting in the ionosphere right now, frozen like a big layer of ice up there, massive sheet. 14% more water in our upper atmosphere that was never there before. Remember, I told you during the 1800s, because our atmosphere shrunk and it put more moisture in our atmosphere, more cloud nucleation, the exciting, which follows more layers of cloud layers in our atmosphere, which then caused that hailstones the size of basketballs. We didn't have 14% more moisture that wasn't sitting in our atmosphere then. 146 gigarams. Get a calculator. You like math? Do the math on that. That is an insanely amount of moisture, of ocean. When it pumped that, remember? Dormant. It's dead. It's extinct. The Jonah sign that I'm telling you about. That evil and adulterous generation will look for a sign. The only sign they'll be given is the sign of Jonah. The resurrection in the tomb, 3 days as Christ rose from the tomb, from the dead, right? So did Jonah from the belly of the whale in the ocean. And that was what happened. Boom! Do me, baby. Do me, baby. Bam! Right over Tonga. It's stink. Don't worry about it. It's dead. They said it's dormant. They killed it. February 12th of 2022. 3 days later, bam! It rises out of the belly of the ocean and hits the upper atmosphere and instantly freezes 146 gigarams of ocean into ionosphere, which is a layer so cold that it can't have moisture, instantly freeze. That's why it's a dry layer of our atmosphere. Well, now we have 146 gigarams of the ocean sitting up there. And I was warning you about hailstones, the weight of a talent, before any of that mechanics have ever happened, and pump that in like a column. Like I'm telling you, that's going to happen. They're getting ready for this, guys. They know this. So, yeah, they're going to use evil men to do things like that on this earth to cause that plague of revelation. Hailstones, the weight of a talent. That's not basketballs coming out of the sky, guys. That probably feels more like a Volkswagen. One of those little Beetles or something come on top of your head. Not literally, but 149 pounds and 14 ounces. That's quite the large piece of hail. I wonder what the diameter, remember, it's all going to matter too about, what goes up must come down, guys. Remember the laws of nature. Can't keep it up there forever. Oh, cool. Well, you could top me off there, Keely. I could use a top off of my copy here, but anyways, much love, guys. I'm not some prophet. I can't. I don't make predictions like that. I know cycles. I just dribbled. Pardon me. I'm not being very civil here, but I was talking about this way before the mechanics And all it's going to take is one hurricane, guys. A hurricane is a vacuum. That's the way this earth cools itself. When it heats up, it pulls, there's more water on this in this plane that we live in here right now than anything else. How much water is there and how much? Yeah, there's more water. You want to know the temperature of the temperature of this earth? Look at their oceans. So when our oceans heat up, when the earth heats up and overheats, it creates what is called a vacuum or a hurricane. Low pressure is like a blower down on the earth. High pressure is a vacuum, and it creates like that toroidal field, a hurricane, and it pulls that heat from the oceans and it blows it into that upper atmosphere. You guys, it's only a matter of time. Do you understand what I'm telling you? 146 gigarams. That's 14% moisture in our upper atmosphere that was never there. I don't doubt 149 pound, 149 pound, 14 ounce hail. Not at all. I was talking about this before that event was ever happened. And irregardless if it was something directed at that portion of that, whatever, how it was done, it doesn't matter. God will use whatever he wants to create, whatever he wants. And so that's actually why I tried to bring to you this sign of Jonah, where it talks about, Nineveh, right? Of Jonah and Nineveh, and the sign, this sign that they're putting over the United States of America as it goes over 4 Ninevehs, right? Another Jonah sign that I keep trying to bring you to these signs, even if they're doing it. So that path that this next one takes, that I keep trying to bring you guys, is this fakery, this nonsense of this hocus pocus solar eclipse that's showing judgment. X marks the spot. Take 7 years to foreshadow what's to come. Aleph cancels anything that follows. The gate, see ya, you're out of here. No birthday next year, whatever you want to say. You're done. You're So I've seen all the signs I need to see. I don't need to get ready for anything. I could be more prepared. Obviously, we'll continue to prepare, but yeah, there we go. So you guys, come on. The sign of Nineveh, that sign of Jonah, have you read up what we're seeing here? And I tell you about the sign of Jonah and put that sign out. I don't believe anybody else put that information out. It was on the board for how many months? You know what I'm saying? For how many months did I tell you about that sign of Jonah, about the belly of the whale, when that happened? And I told you, this is what I see. And now I see this symbol, this Alice symbol over the United States of America, marked for judgment twice. X marks the spot. Aleph negates what follows. 7 years is the number of completion. And it's a bunch of lies, but it doesn't matter. It's not happening. So is the beer, the Cornholio virus, but it's still, the nation of Israel. It doesn't matter if it was founded by nation. This nation I live in was stolen. They still call it America, do they not? Can't get away with the crunch, because the crunch always gives you away, guys. Captain Crunch. So I state the obvious sometimes, and I pay the price for it sometimes, but would never turn back on what I see, and what I want to keep blowing this horn to what I see so clearly is blind to most men and women. They don't have any idea where we're at in history, even celestially or age-wise, or they're all telling me it's February 28th, 2024. I'm like, 2024? Am I in some kind of time warp? Isn't there 360 degrees in the perfect circle? Hasn't there always been 360 degree days in the calendar? What do you mean? I thought it was 5784. I definitely must have hit that 88 miles an hour or something, huh? The old flux capacitor got me, and I'm back to the future or something, right? No, I'm not a pagan. 10/24/24, guys. We'll use their lunar calendar and their silliness, but it's such a perversion of even time. They've even perverted. The devil will be allowed to change times and seasons. And people are waiting for these things to happen, and they're already happened. Many of them are cyclical. They happened at the time of Christ. He fulfilled many of those, and now it needs to be fulfilled in the spirit, not the flesh. He fulfilled the spirit. He paid the price. Now it's blotted out in the book of ordinances, handwriting in the book of ordinances in the book Colossians 2 and 14. He made it all spiritual. So we still have to be girded, though, brothers and sisters. We still have to be a Noah, so to speak. We still have to prepare our ark, prepare our vessel, prepare our temple, be wise, have extra oil. He is our prize. He is what we should be running for. So he's the one that's led me to this information. Men's hearts will fail them. Women's hearts will fail them for what is to come upon the earth. No stone, just like at the time of the temple, the destroying of the temple, no stone will be left in its place. Here we go again with that same celestial alignment. Got to get back in time. Boop, 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 right? See, I'm a weirdo. That's why I can't have anybody. I'm always popping off with some silly jingles or something. But anyways, I can't stop being me, guys. I got to do what it is that I'm here to do. So it just helps lighten the mood sometimes. I know sometimes the things I speak about are a bit on the dreary side, but please remember there's a side of wise and abundance and preparedness, and failure is not preparing, and that is how you fail, is not by doing anything and sitting around and waiting for some rescue boat Jesus that's not even biblical. Oh, he sent this boat and he sent that boat and he sent this boat. Where does it say that in scripture? It doesn't say that, we are the vessel. We are the boat. We are the vessel. Listen to him. He will, like Noah, he will baptize you, and you will be set adrift, afloat, in this sea. Remember, it was the beasts out of the sea. That was actually talking about a real sea, but a sea is also the people, right? So come out of her, my people, right? And so it is something, again, that I believe that anybody that is led by God and Spirit, they're already preparing not only their spiritual house, but the physical things that we talk about that we need to have to be able to hopefully help others, is what my success. I'm hoping my success will come when I'm able to take all these stores and preparedness that I have done and be able to feed other people that are starving and hungry and are thinking with their bellies and not their brains, and bring them back to some kind of conscious and thought. And then hopefully we can use their skill set. And I believe I told you when we'll see the fall of the United States of America. I don't think I think it's quite obvious. I think the Omega, how about the Alpha and the Omega? They're telling you exactly when. And I'm not a date picker. I'm telling you what they're telling you. Omega, the Omega event, X marks the spot, and they've marked an X on the ground of the United States. It took them 7 years to complete that, from the time of 8/21 of 2017 with the hoax of the diagonal red dragon eclipse, where the sun hit the side of the moon hit the side of the sun, and then the sun went the wrong way across the United States. That's not an eclipse. That's not how an eclipse happens. It didn't birth. There was no Pisces. There was no Vesica Pisces. That's not an eclipse. Eclipses happen on a horizontal plane. Got to be the right size. Got to remember this far apart, this in, out, all this mechanics, the basic mechanics of an eclipse. That's not what that was. And the sun surely doesn't travel the wrong way across the United States of America, what it did. And then here we are 7 years later on April 8th. They're going to see the sun after it did it in October 2023, going again through Oregon, passing through Texas, going the wrong way. This time it went vertically. The moon came from above. Even though, once again, I witnessed the moon come up to the side of the sun, but this time it started from the top down. It was a vertical eclipse. That's not an eclipse. That's not an eclipse that's happened. They've never happened. That's not an eclipse. That's hocus pocus. Oh, but look at the shadows it's leaving on the ground. I know. It's crazy because I remember during that first eclipse, at least it got dark and cold during, I remember in October of 23, 14th, that it never got cold. It never got dark. But we saw that black hole sun they told us about and all their, you know, music and television and videos and internet. It was all predicted, as I did. Not a prophet. I showed you what their signs, what they were signaling. They leave signs as well. You understand? I said this is going to come. Turn down for what? Right? Turn up, turn down. I said this is the way it's going to happen, guys. They're going to bring. It's already, they've been showing you with their Under Armour logo, and that logo has been spread out amongst lots of things. It's been inserted. You just don't see it if you don't have a seeing eye. I see it everywhere. It's been inserted in many things. MasterCard since we were a child. That is the Vesica Pisces. That's the union, the marriage between two celestial bodies becoming one in a horizontal plane. The horizo, the birth of the king. I am the horizo. I am the light. This happens on the horizo. This happens. Remember, these are certain to happen at certain times of the equinox too, and these things are all off. These things are not of God, and I know it. So I don't know. And look, come on, the devil comet. The devil comet, get the out of Dodge, get out of here. The Daimonium comet, when we see this April 8th, when it's going to go across four Ninevehs, 7 Palestines, cross in little Cairo, little Egypt, Illinois, the crossing, get out of here. It's all fake. That's not an eclipse. I think they'll bring this one horizontally, because I know they know I'm on to them. And I'm not that important of a person, but I'll tell you what, there's nobody else that's putting this message out that I am right now. I don't know of another channel that's in the detail that I've gone over the Pisces, the Vesica, the birth of the king, the 923, all the same. That's the equal day, the equal night, the equinox, all this information that I put out, the warning that I blew for well before the October event of the warning of the vertical eclipse that I saw them signaling that was going to happen. That happened. I'm not a prophet. I see their signs. I can speak their languages. They speak in many, many languages. They speak in gematria. They speak in symbols. They speak in letters. And a lot of it's not hard to cipher. These are cipher codes. These are called ciphers. And there are certain ways to decipher, A1, B2. The satanic cipher is A26, B25. That's the satanic cipher. They talk with numbers. The stupid bull, X, B, V, V. But, they speak this way, guys. It's not something that it's foreign to me. I see through their symbols. I see their symbolism. So this is how they speak to the masses. Whether they see it or not is not up to them. They put out the sign. Remember, they believe in a karmetic God, not a high, most high, without darkness God, but karmetic. They don't have to answer for anything that they haven't signaled to you. Hey, stupid, we're going to push the snowball down the hill. Get out of the way. Here it comes. Well, it got swept up. It gives them power. And they don't have to tell us every time they do something, guys. Don't push that nonsense either. I'm tired of people saying that that the devil has to say and all this. They don't have to do that. Sometimes they don't. They just do things. But a lot of the times they signal exactly what they're going to do. They put white papers out about it, and they just invert the word of God. It's actually not that hard to figure out, because that is a cipher. As is above, so is below. It tells us in his word. He tells us how to cipher that. You must be esteemed as the potter's clay. You must turn their works upside down. They invert everything. This is the devil's playground that we live in. And a third of these minions down here with him are trying to blot names out of the book. That's what their job is here to do, not work on people that are going to hell already. They're already hell-bound. God has already committed them as a vessel of wrath fitted for destruction. These daimonions, These distributors' lies, these distributors of fortunes are down here lying and cheating on God and trying to get you to be a whore. Yeah, you to cheat on his law, his agape, and go by their man, dirt, devil, daemonion, distributor, not of God's laws, not the division that he comes with, the sword, the one who believes and the other doesn't. Those, remember, verb is one who believes and one who does not. And that is the only way that we could ever stand any chance in this realm to make it against these daemonians or divs, because we weren't born into this realm at this time and place. This world was given unto Satan. And we have to keep that in mind the whole time that we're here. But people get very complacent. And they don't keep their nose in that book. That's why he said, who shall come after me? Let them deny themselves, take up your cross daily. It's every day Sabbath. You don't come off of it. You're always on it. It's an everyday Jesus. It's an OCD, on Christ daily, all the things I continue to repeat over and over and over again. If you don't narrow yourself of the things of this world, you're going to get caught up in it, and he's going to come like a thief in the night. You're going to be drunk in the spirit, and he's going to overtake you. Or you're going to have your light on, and like if there was 3 houses at the end of your block and 2 of them had the lights on and one of them didn't, which one is the thief going to go to? Hello. So you need to be burning bright, and that's part of what we're, burning bright with his word. That's what he is, the light, the horizo. So we need to be looking up at these signs, being wise and paying attention, and know that we're not supposed to be paying attention to shadows on the ground. Yes, some of us can, but we can cipher what the heavens are doing to see that that's not the way that the heavens circuit or trek. That's not the way the stars trek, right? Speaking of Mr. Warp Speed, right? And Mr. Musk, careful, the stars can be corrupted, brothers and sisters. Absolutely, the word of God says that. I put a massive amount of weight in these celestial markers, but I also know that when that marker bursts my king on a horizontal plane, and that's the way an eclipse has always happened in history, and I see a diagonal eclipse, that's not an eclipse. And I can call out the shadows on the ground as a bunch of nonsense, hocus pocus. I don't know how they're doing it. I don't care how they're doing it. I just know that it's not of God. It's of man. And they're marking this country for judgment. X marks the spot. Babylon, twice the judgment, correct? Isn't that what it says? The new mystery Babylon shall receive twice the judgment. Don't forget about the Alice symbol. It took them 7 years to create that letter A, as well as the letter X. So that is to be 7 is to be completed. If you're mature, you've been 7'd. And that is the number of completion in Scripture. There are 7 trumpets, 7 scrolls, right? A series of scrolls or trumps, right? But the final trump and the final judgment is the 7th seal, is the 7th trumpet. So don't fall asleep at the wheel here. 8/17, right? April 24th, that's 7 years. It's over. As far as I'm concerned, I do not plan on this country being after April 8th America, guys. You can think I'm crazy and you can think what I want, because I don't even think it's America now. I think this country's already been overrun. I already seen Mr. Ping come over here and they cleaned up the streets of Los Angeles and disappeared. Thousands of people that have never been heard from again. Disappeared. Thousands of RVs. How do you do that overnight? Not a tow truck driver had squealed yet. These people were moving in to remember the streets, guys. San Francisco was completely littered with fentanyl and feces, and overnight, gone. Gone. And when he took his route to wherever he, his final destination here in the United States, where he, Mr. Biden made a mockery of this country again as the actor, the standing pretendant. No, Mr. Trump is the pretendant. He's just acting like he is. Okay. We saw more parade rainbow flags. And then we saw U.S. flags, and they were just little little teeny, puny, tiny oligas flags. All the flags were red and yellow with 3 stars, you know, in a, yeah, well, to the King Star there, right? The yellow, and that's what the route was on. So if you plant as a military veteran, if you plant your flag in another country's flag, what does that tell you? Are you awake here, guys? This country's already been taken over. They need this place to grow their food as much as they can, guys. And I believe that's what's going to happen. This will be a grow zone for China. I put this out, you guys. I put this out. It was my first, yes, I can, Homestead. It was my first channel that I put out here. I was able to get up and running and get any kind of traction, you know, as far as, and that channel's all been sucked down and fired, but it was called America Ever After, was the name of the very first channel that I put out on YouTube. You want to see me, you know, years ago, I think, you know, a lot of that stuff was, like I said, it's not, guys have been doing this. A lot of the things that I've been talking about have been saying on this platform for over a decade. But I already saw that America's not going to be a permanent thing. You know, reserve currencies don't last forever. Countries, borders change. They don't stay the same. Not every nation, you can't expect to steal a country and go out and beat the living pulp out of every country, make them pay with your dollar and extort them for resources and inflate their currency by instilling these central banks and you know, basically making everybody want to come to this country because it's supposedly the best thing, and then think that they're not going to come back to this country and whip our, you know what. So it's set up. Be ready to have your tail spanked by everybody that we spank, and because they've already let them all in, and none of them are not very happy with us. We're the bad guy outside of this walls here, of this stolen, undivided states of America. Yeah, people don't like us. They actually fear us. If you ask, all you got to do is get outside of America. Ask country, what country do you fear the most? America. Oh, that's starting to wear off, isn't it? Huh? We don't go over to other nations and unalive their women and children because they're not paying for oil any with the dollar, huh? I'm a veteran, guilty. We've done that for decades. You don't pay for our oil, it's priced in dollar. We'll come over and use the greatest military against you, and we'll overthrow your and put a puppet government in there, and we'll use the college kids, and we know how to do this stuff. We're masters at overthrowing governments. That's why we have 800 military bases around the world, and that's why we are, you know, set for judgment, guys. You can't keep smashing the earth and expect it not to come back to you. He says, let vengeance be mine, saith the Lord. But there are many people that are not of the Lord, guys. They're not a spirit. They don't care. They are here to seek vengeance, and they are not going to go after Mr. Abaddon Warp Speed, you know, and they're not going to go after Mr. Nothing's wrong with Mr. Actor, perfectly fine, intact, extremely intelligent, enough to be wise as a serpent, not a bumbling and an actor. They're all in on this, and they know exactly what it is that I'm telling you as well. And so they're very aware, again, of all these things that I'm telling you, and many of these people are making all these things that I'm telling you about, not the sun, but the mechanics that you see here on this earth come to pass. God uses men to beat other men. God uses men to beat his people he loves. He uses weather, he uses animals, he uses whatever he wants to beat the people he loves. He uses the devil, remember? A third of the angels are down here trying to blot your name out of that book, get you to just falter just a little bit. Remember, pride, just, that's not what he meant, right? Remember the serpent in the garden? Boy, just cast a little bit of doubt is all he needs to do, huh? So be wise as a serpent and gentle as a dove. Do not participate in their evil, guys. Shine a light on it. Blow the horn and rebuke this apostasy to his aletheia. And you should be able to look around and see that it's been perverted. They hijack everything that's good and turn it into something bad. You know, they've hijacked the calendar, they hijacked our school systems, they hijacked television, Hollywood, music. It's all been hijacked. So what are you doing sitting down here acting like this is time to play tiddlywinks? You need to be paying attention to what is going on here. Yep, 33. Oregon, the only state to equal 33 in the nation, but it will come back. It will come back to us, guys. Remember that cup, those bowls will be poured out on whoever partook of her ways, who cheated on him, of this new mystery. I don't care what anybody says on this earth. I know that the United States of America consumes more than 40% of the world's resources every year and has for decades. Welcome to New Mystery Babylon. So you can't go be a pusher and push military bases and go, you got to think, guys, that some of these weapons that we've used for on other countries, they don't just affect that generation. They affect generations to come. So they're not going to come over here and try to unalive Mr. Trump or Mr. Bidenstein or Nancy Pelosi or Mitch McConnell or even Lindsey Graham, the war hawk. None of these. They ain't going after Jerome Powell. I don't think he's in America, is he? Is it St. Louis? Yeah, okay. Well, so they're going to go after you. Because it was you that voted for this government to send ordinances over there and drop them on their people and unalive their women and children. And you think they forgot about it? No, you got your head into TikTok. That's so 30 seconds ago. What used to be on the front newspaper, guys, used to stay on the front for a week. Breaking news. That's so 30 seconds ago. That's so yesterday. The microwave generation. That's forgotten. It took 3 days to make a bean and cheese burrito. The tortillas, the flour, the cheese, the milk, all the process it took, the drying, the beans. That was a 2 to 3 day process to make a burrito. Now you got it, and it's my money and I want it now. You are the J.G. Wentworth generation. These people who are coming after us think generationally, guys. They don't think 30 seconds. They don't think by the week. They think generation, what you did to my last generation and what. They'll sit there and not tell you it's happening, but they'll just sit there and use a piece of paper little by little. Yep, by a million paper cuts. Yeah, that's we are. We are the instant gratification. Convenience and sex are the #1 sellers in America. Not the literal, but the insinuation of, like, a low-lying top cut, or a wink from a man. We can't be as obvious as the ladies because us men are just savages. We're like beasts, but women are savages too, guys. We're both the same. We're not, I don't look at us any different. Honestly, I told you I don't see. We've been physically made different, but we have the same. He gave us differences, but some of our instincts are exactly the same. It doesn't matter if we're a man or a woman. We'll have those savage instincts, animal instincts is what I call it, but not the good ones. Make some dough, and it's a whole process. You see what I'm saying? Exactly, Beyond. Thank you, Babylon. You know what I'm saying? It takes a couple days to make a burrito, guys. Bam, it's in the microwave, and you got it in 90 seconds. The microwave generation with their microwave towers, right? So, I don't know, I'm not trying to change anybody, guys. I want to let you know that, but I do want to point out that there are people right now that are obviously aware of what's going on, and they're in this for the long haul, kind of like holding a precious metals or something. We know what's been going on with these markets forever. You know what I'm saying? Yes, good for your wife. Hey, good for your wife. Excellent. What a good wife you got, Babylon. I wish I had a wife, but yeah, I'd say, honey, sorry, there's no microwave here. No, we don't do microwaves. We cook with cast iron, baby. So, cool. Yeah, I threw my microwave out in the first part of the 90s. I don't do. Yeah, I don't do microwaves. Just not a thing. I wash all my dishes by hand. I don't use a dishwasher. I fill my dishwasher up full of long-term food storage. Normally, yeah, it's just another closet for me, my dishwasher. I like to wash all my dishes by hand. I don't like dishes in my house when I'm on the grid. I do all the dishes in my house anyways. So, I normally don't let anybody do the dishes at my house. I'll ask you when you come over to my house and say, hey, first time coming over. Hey, Keely, thanks for coming over and having dinner with me there. Let me do me a favor and let me take that plate for you this time. And but the next time you come here, you got to rinse your plate off, all right? You know, because you know, yeah. The next time, you first time you're a guest, the next time you're family. So I'll do the dish for you. I don't mind. I cook as I clean as I go, so I don't mind. So I'll do all the dishes. But the next time, yep, I know no, you're not a guest anymore. You're family. Get up off your butt. Take that dish over to the sink for me and rinse it off. I'm not asking you to wash it. Just please rinse that off and put it over in that clean pile for me. That's what I do at my house. So, yeah, the second time you come over, you got to rinse your dish off. So I don't do dirty dishes. You know, if I'm on the grid, I've got full hook up to water. I just stay on top of it. It's called preventive maintenance. I like to do the dishes as I go, clean as I go. You know what I'm saying? If I'm one doing the cooking, and I actually don't mind doing the dishes if they're clean because I already rinse most of the dishes. If I sit down after a meal, I want to sit down and stew. I don't want to get up and do dishes. You know what I'm saying? So I've already cleaned most of those dishes as I've gone, and I've only got the pan that I cooked in. You know what I'm saying? I'm a chef. Managed a 5-star restaurant. I've been a cook, been a 5-star, cook, been worked as a server, I've been in the restaurant industry. No food. It's kind of my gig. Hey, come on, there's most people eat 3 meals to stay alive. And then there's foodies on this earth. They're just here to eat. So fortunately my family, they own restaurants and food carts and all that nonsense. And so the food is just, I don't know, it's a way of life. So, but anyways, definitely don't mind doing the dishes, but if you come over the second time, you got to rinse your dish off because you're family now. So I don't mind doing it. And normally say I don't mind doing it because I just have 1 or 2 dishes um, from whatever I'm cooking in a pan or 2 or 3 or something. And then too, I don't mind, if I have a stack of dishes and God forbid I got to go away for a couple of days, if they're all rinsed off, I come back a week later, there's nothing on them. And I don't understand the idea of waiting to do your dishes. The longer you wait, the more water it takes, the more soap it takes, and the harder it is to get off the dish. Yeah, I know that's the difference between a foodie. Okay, some people, are foodies and they're here just to consume, right? But anyways, I was like that, But you know what? I might veer off the grid and I might rough it the way I live or whatever. And I'm not all hooked up to running water or whatever, but I make sure I got good food and I eat properly. So, yeah, see, I don't mind, again, I don't mind doing this, again, if they're rinsed off and I'm doing your dish, whatever, it's not hard to get, it's already been rinsed. You can sit there. It's not going to stink. It's not going to do anything. It's not going to, so I never did understand the idea of letting a pile of dishes pile up and then they get moldy. That's disgusting. And people do it, whatever it is, but it just gets harder. It takes more soap. And it's like a child, whose bedroom is a wreck. You just don't even want to, they don't even know where to start. And some people get like that with their dishes. And if you just did it as a preventive maintenance thing, they'd never even, you'd use way less water, way less soap, so I don't understand the mentality of letting the dishes pile up. I think it's just, it's nonsensical. It doesn't make any sense. It's not efficient. It ends up costing more money and it's a pain in the rear. Who wants to smell a bunch of stinky, floating, nasty and come on, we know what food does, after it sits there, it starts decomposing and starts gassing and things like that. So then you add the molds. Oh yeah, that's how I want to do dishes, right? No, nobody wants to do them then, right? Heck, probably most people throw them in the trash, go buy a new set. It's just, so anyways, the little things, that I found, and that's probably because I'm a veteran too, it's a whole lot easier to fix your brakes if they start squeaking, to let that squeaky brake turn into a drum, into a rotor, turn into, uh, he said, shut up and do my dishes. Yeah. No, I do the dishes normally in my house. Even if I cook, I don't mind doing the dishes at all. Again, like I said, or they're rinsed, and they're not hard to do. If you just rinse them off when the stuff's not sticking to the plate right after you get up after you're done. And then I like to go, like I said, after I'm done eating, guys, I don't want to sit there and do dishes like that. I can sit down for half an hour and relax, and then let my stomach digest. And normally I'm kind of weirdo like that. It's not like don't talk to me, but it's like, hey, I'm stewing now, uh, but dishes aren't one of the things that I generally. I just don't know why people do what they do with their darn dishes. They just let them go so far, and again, well, that's wasteful if you ask me, and it's not very efficient. So, um, in my house, I cook and I clean, and I'm just used to doing it because I've been the mom and dad, and I was a single parent for almost 10 years, and so I had to be mom and dad. So I do the cooking and the cleaning. It's just something I already do anyways. So, but I try to be efficient how I do things. I have a rhyme or a reason to almost everything I do. I don't do anything generally without. It's not that I can't have fun and have entertainment and let go and laugh and be silly and but there's time for work and time for play. So you know, I just take that. It's like my dad. He always made us do chores. We had to vacuum um, and dust every day. Um, we did the dishes at our house. You know, as kids, my dad, he did dishes sometimes, but more times we did the dishes. And so it was just a regular thing. You know what I'm saying? It was like chores first, homework first, work first, play later. Okay, you're all done playing. Send it, go get it. Then just play hard, as you know what I'm saying, because you're not worried about. Oh, I didn't do this. I forgot to do. I didn't have this, and so I'm a work hard, play hard kind of guy. Both sides. You know what I'm saying? So, but I tend to be a little bit more business than pleasure. But can't be all business all the time, right? Yeah, you're going to spend more time with a lot of things again by putting things off. It just costs you more money. Go ahead, let that squeaky brake turn into a rotor and then a drum, and it works up. And then you got to have to place the whole left, CV. It just all we could have done that with just replacing that squeaky brake, which you didn't take care of it, and now you cost you, little things on vehicles and things like that. Preventive maintenance goes a long way. So we can do this in life. Um, the last relationship I tried to do that, tried to do some preventive maintenance. So um, doesn't always work, things can't blow up in your face, regardless of the time and effort you put into it. But I always feel better to do it's just part of, I think that's kind of it's a, preparedness mentality. People like that are honestly think, and I'm not saying that everybody's exactly like me, but I think a person like myself who probably thinks about being efficient with the dishes and things like that, he probably puts the roll back on the toilet paper, doesn't get up without thinking about the next guy. A lot of the things I do, it's very forward thinking and not just trying to think about myself, is to think about that next person. So um, ice cubes, I'm really weird about that too. I don't just pull 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 8 ice cubes out and leave the remaining 4 or 5 or 6 or 8. I don't know how many are in ice cubes in a tray. What, 20 probably or something. I don't pull 6 or 8 out and just leave the other 12 in there. I always fill up the ice tray. You know, so just little things like that. I'm a little excessive. About. Yeah, I do want the toilet paper facing the front way. I don't know what that's all about. And yes, I do like to put the toilet seat down. You take a deuce in that thing. You're gonna drop a deuce in there. You're not gonna cover that hole. So I always put the lid down. I don't know. Some ladies like, oh my god, this guy's incredible. He puts the toilet seat down. I just took a leak inside that hole, and I'm gonna leave it uncovered or drop the didn't. No thanks. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what it is about. Why wouldn't you cover up that hole? There's a cover, so I don't just put the lid down. I put the cover down too. So sorry, ladies, you got instead of dipping your little tail in the water there. Yeah, I know that can't be very nice. Guys are sometimes very unthoughtful. They're like cavemen. You ladies can be kind of unthoughtful at times too with little things. We're all the same. So, but those are things I'm forward thinking, you know, and I said, and I think it makes sense, you know. Uh, I'm the man of the house. I'll put the seat down if I want to or not. Cool. Well, you just go ahead, Mike, and you keep your stinky hole where you drop your deuces out uncovered. I'm going to cover mine every single time. Go ahead. Let your garden fresh. Oh, wait. You flush. You got water, you know, so you can just do your deuce and leave it uncovered. But still, to me, it's a poop hole. You cover it up. Okay. Maybe I'm a cat, right? I don't know, you know. But go ahead and leave your poop hole uncovered and let your flap hang and dangle, you know, whatever you want to do. But um, if you live by yourself, go for it. You know, I live by myself too, and I put the seat down no matter what. It's a stink hole. So, um, and I keep my toilet clean. I'm just saying, I have a waterless toilet here. So, um, anyways, little things like that. You know, I'm not trying to change people's ways. Some people don't care what's way the toilet paper's put on the roll. They don't make a deal about it. I do. You know, I just don't know why that is, but yeah, little things. You know, it's the little things, and that's probably why I live alone. I can't hold down a wife or anything because I'm weird like that. I have these strange ways of doing things with purpose, and I try to forward think. You know, I won't walk out of a door without looking behind me to see if somebody's behind me. And if somebody's coming, I always stand and hold the door open. I don't care who they are. I'd open the door for my worst enemy. Go ahead. Let me get behind you. You know, no. Anyways, um, anyways, apologies for my outburst there, but I think I need to get something to eat, guys. I haven't eaten anything today. I'm thinking about, I've got some burger in there. I was going to make tacos. I haven't made any tacos. Boy, I'm on a roll. I haven't had tacos for days. What's wrong with me? Um, I was eating tacos every day. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, tostadas and tacos, tostadas and a little hamburger here and there. But I don't know. I might just let it run out. I don't know what's going on with these hours on YouTube. I thought I was closer than I was to the 4,000 hours to get monetized, but I don't think I'm even halfway there yet, which is strange because it seems like the viewing hours when I go look at the analytics should be, you know, some of my view is up 3,000 and 12,000%, and some of the this channel has grown tremendously over the last few weeks and months. Leaps and bounds from 300 to 3,000. That's a huge what blessings that it is, but I don't know. So I might just let this run out and we'll keep this live going because I'd like to eventually monetize the channel and produce some content on the channel. If people want to go over and see channel content, I have so much that I could do, but my time seems to be more efficient here with the lives, and I can actually get some comments and we can participate in, but I still could probably produce some content once I get to monetization. I'll do that because I need to, just like everybody else, try to, you know, my time is hopefully valuable to people, you know, like dispersing weight. Maybe once I get some more, maybe when we get up to 5,000 on this channel, I'll think about maybe doing a Patreon or something like that where people want to support my work. I'll pull content from my TikTok platform and I'll pull all as much content over to that platform. And, you know, I'm sure I'll make it minimal and nobody has to go to that website and participate in it if they don't want to. So I don't want to force anything on anybody, but there are people who support people like myself, content creators, because I try to show you what I'm doing out here and I try to share the gospel with you and I try to share my experiences. I talk about preparedness, I talk about celestial markers. So blessings, even if it never happens and I don't monetize and people take value from what I've done. That's a blessing to me. If you go back and you watch, cool. See, I think people like dispersing weight might want to say, hey, you know what? I don't mind giving Tracy a $1 a month I want to be a Patreon subscriber. I want to give him $1 every month. I want to give him $5 every month, whatever. That's the neat thing about Patreon is people want to give to content creators can, and it's separate. It's away from this, and so people who know they go over to Patreon that you are supporting that content creator for the content that you get. Generally, Patreon creators will put Patreon exclusive content for their people that are not on the Rumbles or the YouTubes or the TikToks and stuff to make it, not a big boys club, but membership. That Patreon will entitle you to some things that some of the other viewers. Yeah, I need to do that. I haven't done that. I haven't done that yet. Yeah, just whatever people want. People can go in there and donate. So, and guys, I don't, come on, there's hundreds of millions of content creators put out a bunch of crap and they make a good living. Look at all these TikTokers and some of these YouTube sensations that just produce a bunch of nonsense, I believe that some of the stuff that I'm putting out on this channel is more valuable than any other YouTube. I'm not trying to gloat or rise or shine above anybody else, but I believe some of the content I put out is some of the best, most valuable information on the planet right now. What if I'm correct about this water overlay map? What if I'm right? I could be wrong, but what if I'm right? You know what I'm saying? What if I'm right? And people can get over here and relocate before that happens. And now they have a house over here on the West Coast, guys. I'm not telling you to do anything, but look at this information I put out. You could relocate your whole family and get away from what I believe is about to come, that they're very aware of. I believe that'll happen before 5 of 25. And if I'm wrong, okay. So don't move and relocate your house over here if you don't believe in what it is, the information I put out. But the information I put out could save lives. I asked you to get a hell plan. I'm not trying to save your life, guys. God has written your death, but if he uses whatever he chooses, his vessels, his word, his whatever, and most of what I'm repeating to you is his word. Hailstone's the weight of a talent, guys. It says that in scripture. Men's hearts will fail them. For what does it come upon this earth? They'll have boils. Their skin will blister. All these things I'm telling you are biblical. I'm not trying to do this because man said it. The seas and the waves will be roaring. I always waited for this event. I've always waited. There will be earthquakes in diverse places. There'll be wars and rumors of wars. Do you understand? I've seen all that. And the seas and the waves will be roaring. And here we come. Here it comes, guys. Here comes this tidal shift. It's happened before. I don't know exactly, again, the cycle because I haven't been able to pick it up on a timeline. I'm not picking an exact time, to be honest with you. I think it's going to come within a window. I don't think it's just going to be one wave. I think it's going to be waves that will intensify everything I've told you. And I don't think I'm going to be wrong. So look at that. I might have saved somebody's whole household. Yeah, that is my Cash App, Gilly. Do you see what I'm saying? So wouldn't that be a blessing if even I never made $1 from anybody, but somebody used to relocate their whole family instead of being pushed underwater by these waves or not being able to relocate? Because I think that will come, guys. Like China released water out overnight and flooded their people out. You understand? I believe that'll happen in America. I don't believe they're going to tell anybody about this tidal event because they're not sure if it's going to happen or not, but they sure seems like they know something to me. Why would they buy up all this and take over all this federal land that's exactly to where the water has on a mean average washed up to? Because they know what I put out, guys. That's why I have been shut down financially and I'm struggling so much right now. I haven't sold anything since I put out that water overlay map, guys. I have not sold a thing. So you can't tell me that I don't think that. We'll look at the numbers on the Predestined for Light TikTok channel. 10, 15, 12, 1,000 views. I put out that and the cop video where I audit the police out here and the channel live stream goes down, can't get the no track. Every video since then is just nothing. It's flop. It's not even worth my time to even be on that platform. I don't even hardly check TikTok anymore. Put a fork in it, it's done, because I've had 10 people tell me they're going to go over to TikTok to my backup channel, and the numbers don't show up there. They never do. So I've been completely shut down electronically, and I'm paying the price dearly, but I don't regret it, because we're not that far away from this event, you know. And if the event will just happen, I won't need this silliness. I don't believe. The only thing I'll need is to put myself in that shelter. And be wise. Make sure the books are down there, that all these study material I have is shoved in that hole down there, and kept safe, archived in the ark. I am his vessel, and he told me to prepare an ark. So I do what my commander tells me to do. And that started more than a decade ago. Okay. So thank you for your support, guys, because it's cost me dearly to put this information out financially, but it's okay. No regrets. I'm hoping I don't know exactly how, like it's snowed and hailed out here again today. We got snow all over the ground again. Hail snow. Oh, hail snow. Both hail and snow blowing. The wind blew out here for 6-8 hours straight, just sideways. For the old cabin was rocking and rolling out here, but can't go out and do the outside labor, can't do the shelter, can't sell anything, can't get this garden equipment up that I told you. So more kicking me back and kicking me down. So that's why I'm on here today, trying to put this treasure up in heaven, and hoping that when this event comes, that again, I won't have any worries about any of this stuff, guys, anymore. The only thing I need to have is got to be nice to have a warm body next to me and not have to do this alone by myself, because it's lonely. I get really lonely. I'm weak. I'm flesh. I'm not a robot. I'm not an android. I'm not zeros and ones. I got feelings just like everybody else. I might be a strong man. I might be strong-willed. I might be set in my convictions. I might teach. I might preach. I might pastor, but I'm still a man. I'm still flesh. I'm still weak sometimes, and not so much within the physical. The physical isn't normally, obviously, I can push through physical pain, but it's the mental isolation that gets me at times. So I try to keep my faith here and know that this is what he wants for me if he didn't. But hopefully I won't end my days here alone. And hopefully God will help me to build. Hopefully, again, this will be my Jubilee year, and 50 years after 7 Shemitah cycles of some hell here. Maybe I'll reap again what I sow. But yeah, I just got to figure out a way at this point to get through this month. I think if I can get through this month, guys, I think I really will. I think the spring might come or whatever, and it won't. I think things will change for me. So this is going to be, I have 14 days now to come up with $700, and selling is not working for me. So it hasn't for months since that overlay video. So I don't know. We'll see. I was hoping for a break in the sunshine, because I really don't have other options out here like that. Yeah, I just don't. Even if I can't take a job here, nobody will hire me. But it takes 2 weeks to get paid, even if somebody would hire me, so to speak. But yeah, I just wish I didn't have to struggle with the finances, because normally for me, it hasn't been too much of an issue for quite some time. I've been able to have the things I need and have a little bit of a bank, to work with, so I can keep myself afloat and sell the assets I need, and not be rich, but continue to build this homestead out. And instead of buying fancy things, I buy rebar and concrete, and I go pick up material with the gas money that I have, and I fix my trailer up so I can go haul more material. I work the farm. I buy animals as I bought, and livestock, and all the yeah. So hopefully this will be my last month of struggle, and I'm sure as far as with the finances, because I think the channel is growing, and hopefully I'll be able to get closer to monetization. Um, or this event will happen, and guys, none of this is going to matter anymore. We won't be able to touch bases here on anymore, um, because I believe the internet is going to go down. But when it comes back up, there will be no more search engine. You'll be able to do this, 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 and you heard it here first. That's right. That's all you're going to be able to do. And if you can enter in blocks with your computer, but you're not going to search anything ever again. No, you're not. That's what I see with the internet. They'll still have search engines and they'll still have all their, whatever. It won't be called that, but there'll be a dual. There already is a dual web right now running. So there's always something going in the back recording. So I'm very aware of this tech that they have and how this is going to go down. So I believe on April, we'll see that happen. It could happen the first part of it, and we'll see a pitch black, drink the Maui pitch black event as they've been signaling that is coming. They've already shown it, they've done the Maui blast, and so I'm sure we're going to see that too. That'll give them a reason to, put up their millimeter bowls and their slime creatures from outer space and the sun and all this stuff that's coming. They'll have the perfect excuse for all these, it's going to come fast, guys. It's going to change. In my eyes, it's going to change overnight, and it'll be America ever after. And you'll never go back to this country like you're never going back to 2019. So enjoy every day that you have where you can talk to your brothers and sisters, because that's not going to last forever. They're going to take the word of God from us. They know that weather's going to dominate this earth. They know exactly what I know. They got the 400,000 years of strata, all this information I've been studying. Many of these things have been taken off the dark web decades ago, when I was more into that, truther, prepper, more, that lifestyle. But I'm here now, you know what I'm saying? And I know exactly um, what they've marked on this earth. I know the dates. I know their gematria. I know what they're signaling. So I don't think they'll be in America after the month of April, guys. Not as we know it. It'll still be here. I don't think any of you are going to go anywhere. I think you're getting out. I think you need to be where you need to be and wherever you want to be before that date. Um, because I believe they'll put a top lockdown uh, effect, and you'll see blue helmets. It won't be Mad Max. Um, and if you're outside of these zones, you'll be considered feral, like a feral animal. Um, these people that are out of the system, that don't want to participate in their new electronic beast system that they're going to, their antichrist system that they're going to reveal. I believe once the lights go out, they're going to start revealing this antichrist system. I believe their strainers will be lifted, and that spiritual AI antichrist will be revealed in the heavens above our head. And well, I'm not a date picker like that, Mike, because people have been saying what you said forever. But there's gonna come a climax, man. They did pull a 11 and a 9, right? The blind 11, and our lives changed, all of us. Then they pulled the corona, and it was a changing. So that day is gonna come. You know what I'm saying? But then you're gonna have to worry about how you feed yourself and how you keep death from. You guys listen to me. It's easier to stay alive than it is to die right now. Hear me out, please. It's easier to stay alive than it is to die right now. Nobody's beating down my door trying to unalive me. That's going to change. It's going to be easier to die than it is to stay alive. And you may have to do things that you don't want to do to save your life. Is that really what you want to be getting ready for? I think you should already be away from. I'm a pacifist. Get away from it. Don't fight anybody for anything. Get away from it now. If you can. If you can. I know it's not easy just to pick up and leave, but I'm telling you, you're a sitting duck. Stay in one place anyways. If you can't pick up, get your go bag, and be on the road, I'm afraid you are going to be in a bad spot. Even where I'm at, I'm making a plan that I can't stay here. I wish I had another place. I wish God would have provided me 4 or 5 people, and I could have set a place about 20 minutes from here into the wood line and buried half of what I have here. Because I'm like a piece of gold. I got all my eggs in one basket. Actually, I don't, because I actually have buried buckets in other states, where I know where they're at. But caches, if you will. Okay. So I won't. I know there's more than I have buckets buried, guys, in multiple states. Okay. So even if I had to leave on foot, I can go to locations right now where I know I can find everything I need in that bucket: lighters, socks, water, food, medicine, pencils, compass. All I put some survival cache buckets, and I've done that for years, so that if someday I have to pick up and leave and go on foot, I know that I have put something away for a rainy day. Whatever, call me crazy, but if I have to, yeah, they're in the hills. uh, so they'll be in the hills too. They're not going to be able to escape this, but you're going to be able to get further away from it. You're just prolonging your death, basically. But being wise to me and not fighting with anybody for anything is much more wise than sitting out like a duck in a pond, just waiting to be, overtaken. So if I have to leave someday on foot, I will find those buckets. I know where I buried them at, and I have multiples buried in this state. I have multiples buried in other states too. So I've traveled around and I've taken these buckets and cached them. I've encouraged people. I told you, I've been doing preparedness for decades, guys. Some of those things have been sitting in the ground for more than 10 years. So, but that's what I'm trying to tell you guys is that I think there's going to come a point where you're not going to be able to make this movement. The captain is going to put on the fasten seatbelt sign again, and you're not going to be free to move about the cabin anymore, guys. All this migration is going to stop. All this, they're going to take a top-down lockstep, one world governance, but it's going to be much more tabernacles, intense. No, just kidding. It's going to be much more intense, much more stringent, and much more assertive this time, because they're preparing for this celestial gas giant alignment. You know what I'm saying? They are preparing for what I'm telling you. So if you believe in my work, if you believe in my reconstruction, not like a thought in your head, but if you look at the work that I presented you, I believe I have studied, in my best humble opinion. I can theorize, but I generally don't like to theorize. I like to reconstruct facts and then present them to you to make whatever decision you choose to do with the facts that I'm giving you. I've not given you a date that I can even pick that this cycle of this raising and the lowering of the 400 feet of our oceans happens, but it does happen on a cycle. And it happens continuously between 100 and 400 feet. And that's why we have scuba diving, exhibitions, out off our coastlines where you can find cities under the water. Because the last time the water came up in the cycle, and this time it's going down, but it will wash up all the way to the Rockies. In my studies of how far it's done on the cycles before in the past, it's washed up less than that, but it's also come up a little higher. I'm giving you what is called the mean, the average, the overlay of all the cycles. I just can't seem to find the cycles of when that it happens. But if we go into this magnetic excursion that we're in any further, it did a complete reversal where your compass would be pointed to the south 780,000 years ago. When it got to the where actually used to happen every 300 to 360,000 years, like a clock, ding, like a perfect ding, and we're overdue. We're in the middle of an excursion already. It happened between 44 or 40 and 45 degrees. We've already passed that 40-degree mark. We are in between that zone right now. So all things are pointing to, a massive shift. Something is going to cause this earth and this water to start sloshing and moving around. I've told you about the way our earth oscillates, the weather, our oceans do it, you know, the AMOC, the overturning of the circulation in the Atlantic. This is a cycle. All these things are cyclical. Cyclical. Armageddon is not the flood, Babylon. Remember, and God has promised of the rainbow. He's not going to flood the whole earth. This is not, I'm not talking about a flood. This is not a flood event. Yes, most of this earth will succumb to water in waves, but it will not be the whole earth. Like there are seashells sitting on the highest mountaintops. That's not the event that I'm talking about. That was 6,000 years ago. That was called the Noah event, and that happens at the half cycle, okay, or happened on the 6,000. These events happen like a clock. Guys, let me show you what I'm saying here, okay? I want to show you something. Sooner or later, I'm going to have to get up and get myself something to eat. Hallelujah. It's right there already. Thank you, Father. I was already prepared for this. As I'm explaining to you, I don't pull rabbits out of my hat. I don't theorize things. I don't like to try to pick dates. I'm not a date picker. I've picked many and nailed them to the day. Nailed them to the day. I have a record of being able to do that because I go with their dates, not mine. I say, hey, this is what I see. This is what, you know, this is what they're doing. This is the event. And so I've reconstructed it. This is what that I see happening. This is what they're putting out. This is what their white papers. This is what they're signaling in their gematria. This is their, you know, symbolism. This is their, and I put it all and reconstruct it all together. And then I come up with what, like an algorithm. Put in, it gives you an output. That's all my brain. I told you that. I know it sounds nutty, but I don't work triangulation. That's a reconstruction. That's the way you can pinpoint anything, is using the 3 measurements to pinpoint. But I have a fourth, unfortunately, thing up there that makes it quantum, that changes the whole game. Okay, it's a different way. My brain does not work like most people's. I was certified as an investigator, reconstructionist, as a teenager. At 19 years old, I was certified an investigator, and my brain has been wired like this, backwards, now triangulated, now quantum, and I can construct things in my brain. That's why sometimes I can hold the conversations that I hold. Like, this guy's all over the place, but he actually is progressing through his conversation and moving forward. That's me hitting these points, and it just spits out. I got files and stuff that are going. I would never wish a man or a woman inside my head. I think they would go insane. They put you in a rubber room, put you in a, you know, scorpions with a, you know, whatever the, you know, it wouldn't. It would drive you mad. And so, but I've learned to deal with it, and I've learned to quiet certain voices and file them in certain parts of my brain and use that quantum to come up with something, you know, without letting all this other distraction and that's going on inside my head push me from trying to equate, calculate, algorithm, create a sequence, a series of patterns to produce a result. And so that's all this overlay map is. I don't know, again, exactly when it happens, but I can tell you that it does happen on 100 to 400 foot level, where it's a raising and a lowering. That has happened again and time immemorial on this earth. The last time we were in this celestial gas giant alignment in 79 AD, our earth the water didn't come up onto the land, and it didn't go down. So it could not happen in this cycle. But we didn't have a weakening magnetosphere by over 25%. Our magnetosphere in 79 AD was at 100%. And it's not now. You can take 25% and just cut it off the top. Okay, take that prophylactic right there and cut the tip of it off. Now go do your job. Go over there to, to the red light district and see how much protection that's going to protect you for. We're not going to fend well, guys. Yeah, I never said that it says a tsunami's coming, because that's not what the Word of God says. It says the seas and the waves will be roaring. Waves, brothers and sisters, listen, birthing pains, labor. It's going to start out slow. It's going to come up into the Carolinas. it's going to pull back. They're going to take control at that point. You should have already been where you're, and that's going to come up past the Carol. It's going to take, past New York. It's going to come in. This is what I see with the cycle. It's not some tsunami, because a tsunami is not what people think. A tsunami is a wave, a wall of water, not a rolling, curling. You've watched too much imagery. You got too much of that mystery of the religion in you. When the seas and the waves will be roaring, obviously it's talking about waves of water, walls, literal. Because if you look at these tsunamis, they're not a curling wave, are they? No, that's not how a tsunami works. It's a wall of water. So I see that washing up in and receding like a woman in pain, in labor. This is what his word leads me to. And that it will come upon some of them like a thief in the night, because they're going to get lulled to sleep by this motion. Back and forth. And I believe, guys, they'll already have taken control by then. They'll have already made sure they have top-down control. And I believe that's where they're going to use their millimeter wave to try to protect certain cities from this happening, where they'll dome them in, wall them in. That'll protect from the nonsense from above as well. All your Pink Floyd laser light show, oh my God, slime creatures from outer space. It'll be so multifaceted, but they got to have to turn the lights out sooner or later, guys, to make all this happen. Okay. What I'm talking about, I don't believe we'll see until the month of September or October. So there is some time before this event that I'm talking about, where the water will come up onto the land. And I believe that it is, though it didn't happen in 79 AD, our magnetosphere is weakened. And that's going to cause this earth to be shaken, as it says, the heavens and the earth. Hello. It's in his word, okay? Remember, there'll be earthquakes in diverse places. There'll be wars and rumors of wars, right? And the seas and the waves will be roaring. So I've waited for this event, and there's been tsunamis before, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about every coastline on this earth having a tidal shift where it will start to come up onto the land. And they know this. And I believe that they're ready for this. And I believe that 99% of the world is not. But they are. Remember, because the 1% was it 8 families control like 40% of the world's resources. So they're all dug in, and all their cronies and stuff are all dug in. They all got their shelters, and they're all ready for this event. And they've made it quite clearly that they're ready. They're not even hiding most of these things. We're meeting in Davos, Switzerland. It's not some conspiracy about some guys meeting in, the forest in California, burning, statues and pentagrams and making, cutting chickens' heads off. We're meeting in Davos, Switzerland, guys. We ain't hiding from this anymore. We got people on the roof if you want to get fruity with us, So it's all out in the open now, guys. And I could be wrong, but once again, I don't think so. I don't see our Earth being pinned in between these 4 large gas giants and it not pushing on our shields, the magnetism. And obviously, if you've studied magnetism, when we electrically connect to something, there's a massive effect at the connection. It subsides. It's generally not as strong, but during the breakaway of that electrical connection, there's a massive shift as well. So we're going to get connected. If you know anything about the block wall, as I've showed you images of that, magnetism dissipates. It goes away. There's no magnetism between those two forces. I'll show you some of these images of what I'm talking about. So let's take a look at this, and then I'm going to leave this thing running and go get myself some, I think I'm going to make a patty melt. So on Texas toast. So this right here, you notice this says potentially civilization ending, catastrophic events, and of the last 150,000 years and previous great year cycles. Now, this image that I'm showing you, every one of these dots is marked with the time. They've gone through the paleoclimatology records, the ice core data, all the samples to go look through the core to see these events that have happened on our Earth before. And so every one of them is marked on this event. Every time there's been an extinction event, a cataclysmic, you see what it said. It's civilization ending, not completely, not extinction complete, but a die down. These events are all marked, and every one of these has a date. So I'm not guessing. What I'm about to show you is an image that's not widely seen, but it's been around for, and they've had this image and they know exactly what I'm telling you about. They have known this event for thousands of years. It's not new news. So here's what I'm going to show you. We are entered the world's 6th extinction event. It's already been announced. This is where you get your cross, your Maltese cross. This is the celestial wheel. If you can think of every one of these little slices as like a slice of Aries, a slice of, a slice of Scorpio, and the all the different celestial. This is not astrology. This is where these are slices of celestial 2,000 plus year time markers. If you'll notice that every one of these dots falls on the line. They're not out there in the yellow. They're not in the gray. They're on the line. Every time one of these catastrophic civilization ending, extinction level events, it happens, ding, on the line, and they're very aware that it's happening. So there's already been 5. We are in the 6th extinction event right now. It's already been put out in worldwide. We hit that when we hit the 10 or the 12,000 year cycle. So we are in the 6th extinction event, the 12,000 year, not the half cycle. We're down here. We're down here in Aquarius. Right down here is where we're at. Right there, hitting that 6th extinction event on the 12,000 year cycle. See, again, they don't happen randomly. It's on the line. It's on the line. It's on the line. It's on the line. Don't tell me they haven't known about this for thousands of years. These events happen on a clock. Think about that as 12. Ding at the top, 6 at the bottom. Come on. The secrets universe are 3, 6, 9. Come on. So, see what I'm saying? So this is not religion. This is God who controls this sun, who creates this cataclysmic events on this earth. But don't tell me that they have not known of this since before any one of our born, and all of our grandparents were born, and all of their grandparents. That's how they keep these kingdoms, guys. So you're talking about sage, you're talking about Kundalini cycles. There's certain cycles within these cycles. I encourage you to look up. Each one of these is about a 2,000 year slice of time. Each one of those. See that? Each one of them has the, like Aries or whatever. I apologize, it's not super, but see, each one of those will be that celestial marker. So Aquarius is down here, and this is the age that we've entered into, right down there. So we have entered into the 6th extinction event. We're on the line, and that happened. We hit that line on December 21st of 2020. That was year 0. That's the reset. That's the start of the bug, guys. That's why I've been telling people for more than 10 years about the year 0 and the reset. I've known about this for more than a decade. I've told people about this year, 2019, when they came out with their Agenda 2021, the start of the reset, sustainable development for the 21st century, not Agenda 2030. Don't ever say that. That is blasphemy. The only time you can say 2030 is if you say David Devine at Adapt 2030. And he's not talking about that hijacked Agenda 2021 that 19 was always leading into 2020 being the first start of this new year into the age of Aquarius out of the age of Pisces. That started in December when, remember, the heavens declared this. I didn't declare this. I'm not telling you this. They did. The heavens declared when Saturn, remember when that star Saturn conjuncted, the great conjunction in the heavens conjuncted Jupiter in 2020, that was the start of the new age. That was the start where we came in, ding, we hit the 12,000 year extinction cycle. Scientists, peer-reviewed study, all these paleoclimatologists all came out and said, look, this is the extinction event starting now. I gotta let the dogs out. He's wanting to, I don't know what he's doing. Oh boy. All right, are we snowed in? Oh, you going to get some snow? So we're there. You guys, you don't have to wait to get ready for anything. Do you understand what I'm saying? If you're waiting for some kind of event to happen, I'm afraid you are way behind the ball. If you ever play baseball, you got to put the bat on the ball. You just got to be a meeting of you got to keep your eye on the ball. You can't see the ball. You can't hit the ball. The basic mechanics, okay? You got to be able to see it coming. You can't get out of the way of something you don't see coming, and you can't hit the ball. You got your eyes closed and you're looking in a different direction. You got your head in the sand. Look up. The signs have been in the heavens. It's quite obvious. They're getting ready for this event. Okay, I hope you get ready for it too. I won't force you to do a thing. I ain't trying to turn a goat into a sheep or sheep into a goat. I can only bring you to what the Word of God says, what I see on this earth, and tell you about the cycles that I'm very aware of that He has left for us as wise men to look at. And we have plenty of this information because many of these things are just cyclical in nature. See, I'm not predicting anything, am I? I'm telling you exactly where we are at. I just gave you hey, remember on a map you are here? I just gave you where you're at on the celestial wheel. And trust you me, 99% of the world has no idea where we fall out on that wheel, let alone that we're in this new age and that we're entered into extinction event. So how about that for some value? Where are you getting this kind of information? It's out there, but there's not very many people that are going to tell you in the fashion. So that I've reconstructed these things for you. So there's not one other TikTok, there's not one other YouTube, and I don't believe there's one other person right now on the internet that's putting the overlay of the federal government's land that they've taken over, either be parks, national parks, federal land over on the West Coast, and they have no interest on the East Coast, except for some highline areas. It's a little bit in the Ozarks, a little bit, but very little, tiny, just 1%, and the 99% of what they've taken over here is on the West Coast. And that wall of water will eventually, subside, come back, subside, and make it all the way up to the Rockies. Don't think they don't know that. And I don't think that's something they're planning for in 2030. I think they know darn good and well this is going to happen in 10/24/24 or before that date, because we're going to get pinned in between the four large gas giants, our Jovian stars, and it's going to affect the magnetism. You call it gravity, but electricity and magnetism is a fancy word for, gravity is a fancy word for those two forces, opposing, positive and negative, polarity, magnetism, electricity. It's all what you call gravity. But anyways, I'm not talking about, I don't even like the word gravity, because that's a man-made word. So it's just trying to put a fancy name on the mechanics of positive and negative polarity, positive and negative magnetism, positive and negative electron, proton, neutron. It's all, it's not very complicated, guys. Some of it's just, right brain, right hemisphere, left hemisphere, positive and negative. So I don't think this is going to be something that most of the world prepares for, but the governments are getting ready for it. And the thing that I find sickening to me right now is that if I'm correct with my overlay map, this is where they've been shipping all these immigrants coming into the United States. Just a fraction of them are coming over here to the West Coast. Most of them are going over there to the East Coast. it often makes me wonder if they're going to not do anything about it and they want maximum, you know, pandemonium, if you will. So if this event starts happening and there's all these people trying to get away from these walls of water, that's going to cause massive chaos, and they're going to start working their way towards this. You know, I don't know exactly if it'll be daily that the water comes in, if it'll be once, twice a day that I don't know how that cycle is going to work. But I am almost certain with what I have seen in the cycles and what the word says is it's a cycle that comes up like a woman in labor. It'll come up, it'll subside, it'll come up stronger, it'll subside, and that's going to lull people to sleep. That's why they'll get caught like a thief. They'll think it's over, but it won't be. It's going to come back stronger, and we see that with a lot of events that we see on this earth right now. It's following that same pattern, that same birthing pains. You know, it talks about the earth having birthing pains, and so I believe this is another. You know, where are you getting that information? Well, what does it tell us about the earth having birthing pains? So I don't know if they'll take top-down control. I don't know if they'll use millimeter domes to try to stave certain cities. I don't know. But obviously they have planted potentially, because it's what, 10 million during this, you know, with the getaways. This has been going on since 45. Mr. I love Satan and I'm going to decorate my house with Satan, right? He was Mr., you know, Barry, his buddy, his island boy buddy, you know, the EpiPen Island boys, Barry and O Biden and O Trump, right? You know, they're all the same wings to the same dragon or same cheeks to the same hole. You know, it doesn't matter if it's left or right or this side or that side. We understand they're pulling the same agenda. But I'm not sure if they're going to use this technology to try to save some cities, and that's why he's talking about smart cities and 15-minute cities and all at Hotel California, if they're going to use this, or maybe they won't in some cities because they want to flush certain people around the United States. Obviously, this is going to be an event that, again, I'm 99% certain they're aware of because they're all ready for it. They're already dug in. They already got their places set. They're already where their 10 toes want to be. Most people are already have, as far as the elite, have their prep set in place and telling the world you're crazy for preparing. You're a conspiracy theorist. You're a nut. You're a prepper. As they fill their coffers full of, you know, cash right now, you know, more cash being, you know, in the system being taken, turned in it, because they're obviously ready to come in, and after some of these things to come in and these cycles happen, they're going to swoop up whatever's left, you know. But I don't think this is something that they haven't made quite obvious to the general public that has a ear and the seeing eye that they're not ready for. And the last ones right now are actually getting ready for it. But how disheartening would that be that nearly 40 million, not just 10 under this current administration, but nearly 40 million people have come into this country in the last decade and a half or so, and a majority of them are in our major cities on the East Coast. You should look around. If you look on the East Coast right now, and it should be quite obvious, there's a lot of people in your city you ain't seen in the last. Boy, they just showed up, didn't they? Some of them just standing on the streets waiting for their marching orders. A lot of them have been videotaped, guys. They've already went in the cities and filmed a lot of these people that are standing around in these major cities, if you live in one of these cities. And a lot of them are just waiting. They have the same message. You know, we're just waiting for that one, you know, we're asleep. We're just waiting to be woken, and we'll do what it is that we came here to do. Standby is what they call it in the military. They're on standby. So they want maximum chaos. They want maximum pandemonium. I'm sure of it. But they'll be all ready for it. And I believe that this will be the event, guys, that'll trigger it. So, but I believe they got to get ready. They got to start kind of some lockstep, top down, change the internet, get you dangling that carrot in front of you, turn it off, like in waves, like in birthing pains. Turn it off, pull it back, give it to them a little longer, pull it back, give them a little bit more, give them a little bit more of these. Oh, the search engine. Did you guys hear the search engine was back up today? I got on Google for the first time, and then it went back down. You're not going to get the Google. I told you it's going to be like this to begin with. There ain't no search engine, not for a minute. That's going to come later in the birthing pains. Might be your crowning moment, if you will. Oh my God, it's back. And that's it. Boom. Trust me, it'll be over for you by then. So again, get ready for this. Oh, you'll be able to type. but that's going to be because you get your universal basic income, or this is where they want you to go over to this FEMA camp or whatever, because you'll have your smartphone. You know, and if you have a tablet, I believe that there will be an internet, guys. Remember, a lot of this stuff is strung under the ground. This whole Neuralink, all this internet stuff it's all so they can put up their big show, their laser light show up above your heads here very soon. They're alien, you know, the great, you know, alien invasion, you know. Oh my gosh. We got robots to fight them, guys. We got robots. Oh my God, they leak robots. So they're out there in the public, and we don't know where they leak like the Wuhan, you know, like the bat flu. It leaked out, and now they're out there unaliving, and we don't know. We don't have no control. Who's controlling? Oh my gosh, that's a great way to get rid of a bunch of people and blame it on technology, huh? Obviously, these things are going to get wild, guys. But again, in my humble opinion, if there's anything that you need to do, this coming month would be a good time to wisely, methodically, don't raise any red flags. Don't go buy every stinking roll of toilet paper at the store. You're going to raise a red flag. Go there once a week. You go there every third day and buy toilet paper. Buy a couple extra of the 36 rolls with the one you bought 3. You got 3 in your cart. I'm not going to look at you like you're crazy, like you're a prepper. And you could fill your coffer up with TP for your bunghole full and probably less than a month and have a good supply of toilet paper before that April 8th date happens. Oh, honey, we got top ramen and teepee. We're going to make it through the apocalypse, baby. We're already in the apocalypse, guys. Apocalypse means to lift the veil. I just did it for you. I removed a lot of lies that you've been told and showed you the truth that's been standing there all along. They know about this event. They're very aware. And please be not anxious, be not dismayed at the ways of the size of the heavens. It tells us in the book of Jeremiah through his prophet. The heathens are dismayed at them. I am not trying to cause you dismay. Maybe this will motivate you to get a water filter, and you'll have that, and it'll be a lifesaver for you. It's him doing it, not me. Thank him. Give him all the glory. Maybe you will relocate to the West Coast because you realize, holy crap, this guy is dead on. God, I owe this guy my house. Think about it. I could have lost everything. And maybe it won't happen, and I could be wrong. But I don't think so, guys. I don't. Everything I've studied, everything I've looked at, there'll be an Omega event, and this title, Waves and Seas, Roaring, Birthing Pains, it's quite obvious to me that this Earth is going to go through an event where there'll be an event that obviously causes some sort of, again, catastrophic civilization-ending event because we're already starting into it. You can't deny that. I just showed you that. So do something about it, please. Get ready. Be a burden to society by falling on your face and not doing anything, and then have to be with that where it's easier to die than it is to stay alive, and go try to take somebody's food because you're starving. I don't care about the teepee. Teepee aside, the food that you could have put away, that you're now beating down somebody's door because you're not thinking with your head, you're thinking with your stomach. You went from hungry to angry to hangry in less than a day because you've never gone a whole day without eating, let alone missing a meal. Some people never missed a meal in America their whole life. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years old, never gone without missing a meal. Always had 3 meals in a day. That's pretty pampered, guys. God wants us to fast for a reason so we don't turn into an animal and get food. And it's healthy in ways. I'm not a doctor. Consult your doctor before fasting, please. But I got to cover myself there, guys. I apologize for that, but that's just the way the world we live in. Stasi Nazi Germany, where we can't even talk. So do something about it, please, today. Take one step towards preparing something to make your future brighter, and put your treasure up in heaven before you put your treasure up here on this. Okay. But he wants to find us girded in his service, guys. And that means that we need to do something about it. Okay. All right. Let me go make something to eat. I'll come back on here. We'll leave this running. I appreciate you guys coming in. Much agape. Thanks for letting me have this voice so I can keep blowing the horn of what I see coming. So if anybody wants to contribute to my work, I have a Cash App at Predestined for Light, the same channel name with the $sign in front. I have a PayPal. The PayPal is Oh, darn it. I'll have to ask this person what it was, because he was successful at finally sending the PayPal through. I'll look that up. But anyways, I need to probably put that in my bio. So as a matter of fact, let me get off here and I'm going to add that to my bio. It's not required, guys. Don't give if you don't have everything you need, and then some to help others. Okay. So, but if you have the ability, I may just save your house and your whole wife and your life and your kids, because you said, oh, I looked at his overlay map and I went and did my own study. And yes, this is very plausible, extremely plausible. And I see where the federal government has purchased up all this land, taken over all this land. They want nothing on the East Coast. Go look at my videos. I hope it's of value to you. Okay. And I hope you do something about it. Get your spiritual house in order before all things, brothers and sisters. Okay. Put on the armor of God. Put on the whole armor of God. Fight not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, powers, spiritual wickedness, and the rulers of the darkness of this world. Choose your battles wisely. Let God fight all your battles. He said, let vengeance be mine, saith the Lord. Please get yourself away from people, guys. If you have any interest and you want to get out of the country, there's room out here where I'm at. There's plenty of room out here in the country, and you can live in a tent out here. You can live in an RV. Okay. I presented the opportunity for people to come to me for 10 years and nobody came. So, oh well, God will provide in the right time. All things after his own counsel or his own pleasure. But I hope you're finding some kind of community, as I told you, away from people before somebody comes banging down your door to take your last box of macaroni and cheese or toilet paper. Get that last roll from you, because they got kids at home. They never heard their stomachs growl like that. And those kids are screaming and hungry. And they're not going to care if you went fishing with them every week. They're going to feed those kids. So please be ready for that. Okay. I'm a pacifist. I don't want a revolution. I don't want to fight with nobody. I don't ever want to have to ever hurt nobody again in my life. I don't. And so I'm going to take the pacifist route, and less is more. So less people is more. Broad is the way. Broadway, New York City, all the city lights. He tells us to enter through the straight gate, for broad is the way and wide is the path. It's the easy peasy convenience, one-stop shop at the Piggly Wiggly, the Starbucks, the McDonald's, path. That's the one-stop easy path. And that's the wide path and the wide gate that leads to hell. And most people enter through that gate. The narrowing of self, as he tells us to enter through a straight gate. You cannot fit through a straight opening unless you've been narrowed down. So it's a process. You can't just be on a narrow path. It's a process of narrowing. That's why he tells us to enter through that straight and narrow gate. For wide is the path and broad is the way that leads to hell. For straight and difficult and narrow is the path. A dose to be in the same way as Christ. He said, I am the way. And that is that narrow way that he tells us. Theolobo, the verb, the noun, to be pushed down, right? Theolobos, the verb, to be pinched down on both sides. How are you going to fit through a straight gate if you haven't been theolobos, you've been pushed down on both sides? And that comes with being condemned and not doing the things of this world, brothers and sisters, and being hated through tribulation, through suffering, through fire. He said long suffering. He says you must endure to the end to be saved. Okay. So go out there, do something to be wise today, and go out there and be persecuted and hated by the world, because the world says you're crazy. You're a prepper. Why do you need that? God will send a boat. He'll send another boat. No, he won't. You are his vessel. That's not biblical. It doesn't say anywhere in scripture that God sends a boat. He's told Noah to build an ark. We are his vessel. We are the temple of God. We are that ark. Build that ark, brothers and sisters, but not the nonsense of this world to tell you to not prepare. What would happen if Noah wouldn't have listened? None of us would be here today. So listen to that still voice inside your head, and whatever it's telling you to do, start doing it a little bit every day. You can't do it all at once. And if there's something that's just beating you down, that's making you feel guilty because you know it's not right and you're not, he cast off the works of darkness. Put on the whole armor of God, brothers and sisters. Cut it off. Circumcise that flesh, the outer flesh, the needs, the want, the idolatry, the things of the flesh that want you to do the things that are not godly. And he'll tell you what that is. So just listen to it. It's amazing. It's been there since you were a child. It's called the Ruach HaKodesh. It's the Holy Spirit, and it is the voice inside our head. If we'll listen to it, it'll tell you what is displeasing him. Or it'll tell you, hey, start doing this. You know, you're not doing this, and I need you to do this, do this. So that's what I've got for you guys for now. I'll come back on here a little bit. Let me actually take you outside real quick. I'll show you what I'm up against here. So I'll check dispersing weight just so I can find that other, thank you, brother, for that other PayPal. But I can't do much, guys. This is what we're working with. So pretty out here today. So the cabin got a little snow out here. Look at the poppies. Oh, the poppies. So anyways, not getting a whole lot of work done. All my materials covered up. I had to go get wood and bring that in. That's why I was on here a little later. So there's actually probably some things that I need to do. I need to shovel the walkway and stuff. So let me get back to my off-grid duties here. But pretty snow day out here. Still got some snow in the air here. I can see it. My dog is acting rather strange right now. What are you looking at, Toggy? Huh. The dog is alerting to something over there. So, all right, guys, much love, much agape. Thank you so much for your comments and compliments and contribution to the channel, to this ministry out here at High Desert. Thank you for letting me come in and share my time. Your time's extremely valuable. You could be anywhere on any other channel and any other platform. You chose to be here with me, and I thank you for doing that. Time is valuable. Use your time wisely, brothers and sisters. We only have so much time on this earth. Were you playing with the puppies? Please use it wisely. He wants to find your loins girded in his service when he returns. So have something in the dirt. Be digging. Be working for him. Okay? All right. Much agape and phileo, and I'll see you guys on the next Predestined for Light live stream. Always agape.